Average people don't get this far in life.
This is your chance to do something special. Champions don't hesitate. They go.
Leave a little bit of yourself on this field today.
Gotta go to work. Gotta go to work. Gotta go to work. Gotta go to work.
Money.
Peace and prosperity. Presently, those words are more than just a slogan. They're a description of the times. The symbols of affluence are everywhere and in excess.
And greed is good.
This autumn in our nation's capital, where they literally print money, they are putting that Gordon Gekko theory to a test. Will greed be good? Well, Deion Sanders thinks so. And Bruce Smith as well. Jeff George, Stephen Davis, and Darryl Green also, because signing their fact checks is Dan Snyder. At age 35, the youngest owner in the NFL. He plunked down $800 million to buy his hometown Redskins. Then upped the ante by doling out more than $40 million in bonuses to bring in some of the league's brightest stars.
You mark my words. Greed is good.
Is greed good? Well, Redskin fans will agree if it brings a Super Bowl triumph. But if it turns out the best things in life are free, Dan Snyder might seek counsel from Cowboy owner Jerry Jones. After dominating the early 90s with 3 Super Bowl championships, Jones is discovering that money can't stop the inexorable march of time. Troy Aikman's hurting. Joey Galloway's finished for the year. And Emmitt Smith keeps taking a pounding. The Cowboys are aging, aching, and desperate for a win. Peace and prosperity? The once upon a time America's team seeks its share tonight when they face the Washington Redskins on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Are you ready for some football? With a flash of thunder and a lightning strike. The storm in the field, sparks will fly tonight. We're charged and ready. The crowd goes berserk. It's a wake-up call. Time to go to work. You better get ready. It's going to get rough. Because Monday Night Football is powerful stuff. Come on and hit it. Come on and get ready. Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party? Yes, sir. The countdown to the kickoff has officially started. There's no neutral corner in this heavyweight fight. All my rowdy friends are here for Monday night.
FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland, just outside the District of Columbia. Out onto the field come the Washington Redskins before a crowd of more than 80,000 on a gorgeous night in mid-September. The rivalry resumes, the Cowboys and the Redskins. Al Michaels, welcome to FedEx Field. The Cowboys come in with new coach Dave Campo after a humiliating defeat to Philadelphia on opening day and an agonizing loss to Arizona. They're 0-2. Critical game. 0-3 teams normally don't get to the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Redskins, the best team money can buy. A win on opening day against Carolina, but a loss last week. If they lose tonight, they'd be 1-2, and they are going to New York next Sunday to meet the suddenly resurgent New York Giants, and they don't want to be 2 games behind the division leaders. So it's Dallas and Washington meeting for the 11th time on Monday Night Football from our nation's capital. And back at FedEx Field with Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Fouts. Dan, every time the Cowboys beat the Redskins, there's normally a keynote theme. There's something very special. What is it tonight?
Well, Al, this is all about pressure tonight. Whenever you get 2 rivals together, you find a lot of similarities. Both these teams have impatient and aggressive owners who can apply a lot of pressure. Both teams will rely on their running game tonight to get things going. Emmitt Smith for the Cowboys and Smith for the Washington Redskins. Now, Troy Aikman will not start tonight. It'll be Randall Cunningham. He's going to be looking to go deep to Rocket Ismail and James McKnight. But this game is going to be decided by which team cracks under the pressure. The Redskins are heavily favored, but they've lost 5 straight to the Cowboys, and Brad Johnson has lost 2. He's never beaten them as a starter.
There is nobody in our nation's capital who knows more about pressure right now than Norv Turner in his 7th season as the Redskin coach. He's with Melissa Stark.
The Redskins
Redskins offense has struggled in the first 2 games, scoring just 3 touchdowns. Given the fact that the Cowboys defense is also struggling, do you feel like you can open it up a bit tonight?
Well, we've opened it up. People have really backed off to keep us from getting big plays. The way you keep them from doing that is you run the heck out of the football and you're high percentage and make the plays that are there. We think we can get the ball up the field in this game.
All right, we'll see if that works. Thanks, Coach. Back to you, Al.
Okay, Melissa. Well, Dennis Miller, it's prime time, and we're in prime time. We'll see prime time tonight. Dion in a Washington uniform.
Well, you know, Al, for years, D.C. was District of Columbia, but now, of course, it means Dion cometh. And I think our friend, the bandanaed one, might be in for a little symbolic retribution this year. Theory espoused by Dante in his masterpiece, The Inferno. And by Dante, I, of course, mean Dante Lavelli, wideout for the Cleveland Browns, late 40s, early 50s. Now, in layman's terms, the theory is as follows. How you perform in life is how you are either rewarded or punished in the afterlife. And in Dion's case, I think that translates to so many years he was a shutdown corner in this league. Everything was funneled to the other side of the field. People like Kevin Smith got their brains beat in. Well, now the new Dion is Champ Bailey, and everything's going to be coming to Dion, and he better keep his head up. Is he up to the task? Well, of course he is. When you get beyond the colorful hats, indeed, this guy's introduced us to more bowlers than Chris Schenkel. You're talking about a first ballot Hall of Fame guy, and he can certainly handle the task. And all he needs is a big stage, Al. We've got one here tonight, a new city, a huge contract, the Boy King in attendance, and a 256 consecutive sellout in this town. Make that 257 if you throw in Trent Lott. Take it away, Albino.
Clearly, equal time provisions don't prevail on Monday night except for interviewing coaches. So right now, let's meet Dave Campo with Eric Dickerson.
Well, Coach, after 2 losses, I heard last week you really got into some of the players' faces last week. What did you say to them?
Well, Eric, let me tell you something. This is a game of emotion. Football, you have to have emotion going in, and this is a big, big ball game for us here on Monday night. We've always been pride ourselves on having emotion. It was just a little bit of a reminder.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you, Eric.
Back to you guys.
Okay, Eric, so the stage is set. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones in attendance tonight. He'll watch Randall Cunningham lead his charges against the Washington Redskins with Brad Johnson and Deion Sanders. It's a beautiful night in Washington, but you never know it when you look at this shot because of all of the fireworks that were set off. And since there is no breeze, there is a haze.
Well, you know,
permeates this stadium.
They blow a lot of smoke in this town now.
And have for years. And will continue to for years.
Just don't inhale, Dennis.
Mike Ganor to kick off and back to receive James Thrash and Adrian Morrell. The crowd on its feet, more than 80,000 at FedEx Field. Built as Jack Kent Cook Stadium 4 years ago. Good deep kick by the rookie, and James Thrash downs it in the end zone as we meet the Washington backs and receivers.
Brad Johnson, quarterback, Florida State University.
Stephen Davis, running back, Auburn University.
Larry Centers, fullback, Stephen F. Austin.
Irving Fryer, wide receiver, Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Albert Connell, wide receiver, Texas A&M.
Stephen Alexander, tight end, University of Oklahoma.
Alexander was the man who scored the only touchdown in last week's Washington-Detroit game. And still Washington lost 15-10 on 5 Jason Hansen field goals. Brad Johnson has been around since 1992. Came up with the Vikings. Came here. Big contract a couple of years ago. And tries to guide them into the playoffs for the 2nd consecutive season. From the 20 on first down, they begin with Stephen Davis, and their primary back picks up 2. Let's meet the interior lineman for the Redskins.
Chris Samuels, offensive left tackle, University of Alabama.
John Jansen, offensive tackle, University of Michigan.
Keith Sims, offensive guard, Iowa State.
Trey Johnson, offensive guard, Temple University.
Mark Fisher, center, Purdue University.
And you met Chris Samuels, number 60, picked in the first round. One of their 2 choices in the first round. They went for LeVar Arrington, the linebacker, as their other choice. They had 2 of the top 3 picks in April's draft. On 2nd down and 8, Johnson throws underneath. It's Centers making the catch. Larry has caught more passes than any running back in the history of the National Football League. Only a 2-yard pickup there. Darren Hambrick makes the tackle.
Norv Turner said there's a lot of excitement about playing on Monday night against the Cowboys, but this is the first chance for the Redskins to handle adversity. Looked terrible last week against the Lions. Norv wants his team to know how to come off of a loss. And knowing the Cowboys, they know them so well, you can't really trick them. You just got to go out and be more physical.
I like Brad Johnson coming off 4 interceptions last week. You know he's amped up for this one.
3rd down and 6. Johnson throws, and that is dropped at the 26-yard line, and that was Larry Centers, who had just made the 616th catch of his career. Tops him on all running backs, as we stated, but he drops this one, and so it's 3 and out. Dexter Coakley with the coverage on that play.
You know, there's a college atmosphere here tonight. Before the game, Dan, did you see the little scrum that happened down on the sidelines?
Well, as the Cowboys were going off the field, the Redskins were going off the field at the same time. They got into it a little bit. Eric Williams and Bruce Smith, of all people.
Little Florida State action.
Tommy Barnhart to kick. Wayne McGarity ran a punt back against the Cardinals last week for a touchdown. Fields this at the 26-yard line and is stopped at the 26-yard line. Good coverage. Joe Zelinka down there to knock him down. Dallas with the ball. Here are their backs and receivers.
Randall Cunningham, quarterback, University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Emmitt Smith, running back, University of Florida.
Robert Thomas, fullback, Henderson State University.
Raghib Ismail, wide receiver, Notre Dame University.
James McKnight, wide receiver, Liberty University.
David LaFleur, tight end, LSU.
Wonder if Randall's going to audibilize in that voice tonight.
From the 26-yard line on 1st down. They begin with a toss to Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt turns the corner, picks up a couple before he's run out of bounds by Sean Barber. Here's the Cowboy interior 5.
Eric Williams, offensive tackle, Central State University.
Flozell Adams, offensive line, Michigan State.
Larry Allen, offensive guard, Sonoma State.
Solomon Page, offensive guard, West Virginia University.
Mark Stepnoski, center, University of Pittsburgh.
Mark Stepnoski listed at 265 pounds. His listed weight, the lightest of all National Football League offensive linemen.
30 pounds of that is hair.
This is Emmitt Smith. Puts his shoulder down and moves up to the 37-yard line, and that'll move the chains. Tackled by Mark Carrier.
2 plays now for the Cowboys on the ground, running left side behind Flozell Adam and Larry Allen. And Emmitt Smith still has that great ability to pick his way through a lot of traffic. There's Flozell, number 78 there, with a good job on the outside.
1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. The fake to Smith, and Cunningham rolls, fires, and nobody's home. Trying to get it to David LaFleur, the tight end, but he was bracketed. Now let's meet the front 7 for the Washington defense.
Bruce Smith, defensive end, Virginia Tech.
Marco Coleman, defensive end, Georgia Tech. Dana Stubblefield, defensive tackle, University of Kansas.
Dan Wilkinson, defensive tackle, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Sean Barber, outside linebacker, University of Richmond, Virginia.
Derek Smith, middle linebacker, Arizona State.
Greg Jones, outside linebacker, University of Colorado.
And a guy we'll see a lot of is LeVar Arrington, who will split time with Jones. This is Emmitt Smith. And Smith tackled after a short gain by the outside linebacker, 59, Sean Barber. The defensive backs for the Redskins, of course, they have Deion Sanders at one corner, Champ Bailey at the other, Sam Shade and Mark Carrier, the ex-Bear and Lion, are the safeties, and we'll also see a lot of the ageless one, Darrell Green. There is Ray Rhodes, 4 years the coach of the Eagles, last year after 1 year fired as the coach at Green Bay, now the defensive coordinator.
Ray is working that thermomandibular joint tonight.
On 3rd down and 9, Randall throws off his back foot, and that is incomplete. Good coverage, some incidental contact with Ismail and Darrell Green.
Well, the thing Darrell Green did is he's been around so long, he knows when the opponent is trying to go deep on him. What he did is he just got in front of Ismail, cut his path off, and Ismail had no shot at getting up to that ball. Redskins came with a full-out blitz that time on 3rd down and 8, put pressure on Cunningham. He had to get rid of the ball sooner than he wanted to.
So Deion is back to receive the kick. Mike Ganor, a rookie from Utah State, though he played college football 4 years ago. free agent, won the job in camp. Left-footed kicker and a good one, and Dion hauls it in at the 13-yard line, and then Dion gives the ball.
What a great
reverse
idea.
to Champ Bailey, and it's the Dion and Bailey show that gets things started for the Redskins as Champ takes it all the way to the 32.
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. What a great idea, though. I mean, you know they're thinking Dion wants to show his stuff tonight. Brilliant play by the Cowboys.
You got to give LaCharles McDaniel a lot of credit. Special teams coach. Watch this handoff by Sanders in crowd right there. Bailey never took his eye off the ball. Now the picket line sets up down the sidelines. Good block there by James Thrash, and the Cowboys with good hustle keep Bailey out of the end zone. But what a great play to start the ball game.
And perfectly executed. Perfect timing on the handoff all the way to the 32-yard line, first down. And the Redskins trying to cash in now, and Stephen Davis is taken down after a gain of 2 by Chad Hennings. Let's take a look at the Cowboys defensive line and linebackers.
Greg Ellis, defensive end, University of North Carolina.
Alonzo Spellman, defensive line, Ohio State.
Chad Hennings, defensive tackle, Air Force Academy.
Leon Lett, defensive tackle, Emporia State University. Darren Hambrick, linebacker, South Carolina.
Baron Wortham, linebacker, University of Texas El Paso.
Dexter Coakley, linebacker, Appalachian State.
On 2nd and 8, bottom of the screen, that's Champ Bailey in the game as a receiver. And underneath it is Centers who makes the catch, and he takes it to the 16. So Champ Bailey not only playing the Dion role on the run back, but playing the old Dion role as an offensive threat as well as a cornerback.
And you know, Dennis, you talked about just the playing cornerback part of it, but this is what Larry Centers does so well. You get him man-to-man on a linebacker. That time Darren Hambrick, just no match. But watch for Champ Bailey to be in this game on offense for at least 10 plays tonight. What a threat.
First down at the 16-yard line. 5 minutes into the game. Johnson rolling to buy time and then forced out of bounds. Run out by Leon Lett. The Redskins under Norv Turner have been very good in the red zone, not only last year but over the past few years, and there they are. Look at that ranking: 9th, 3rd, 2nd, 5th, and 1st. So this is a team that knows how to get the ball into the end zone.
And when you take care of situations like this, it gives your team great confidence in this man, that he will make the right call at the right time. You know, he had a hand in that reverse on the punt return.
Well, last season they ran 64% of their plays were run plays inside the 20. The league average is 52. So Norm keeps them guessing.
2nd and 8. Here's a running play. They give the ball to Adrian Morrell, who a couple of points in his career was a starter with Arizona and the Jets. It'll be 3rd down as we meet the Cowboys secondary.
Kareem Larimore, defensive back, West Texas A&M.
Ryan McNeil, cornerback, University of Miami.
George Teague, free safety, University of Alabama.
Darren Woodson, strong safety, Arizona State.
And Mike Zimmer, the new defensive coordinator. The new head coach, Dave Campo, was the defensive coordinator. Andre Reed is in the game. The ex-Bill signed this week. Michael Westbrook out for the year, so Reed has joined the roster on 3rd and 5. They get the ball to the other veteran, Irving Fryer. And Irving, who has played more games at wide receiver than anybody in the history of the league, takes the ball to the 8-yard line with 8.5.
Well, you got 5 Redskins over 36 years of age. I think we've all seen them contribute so far. Green, Fryer, Barnhart, Bruce Smith, Andre Reed.
Watch this shot that Fryer takes. Great job of getting under the tacklers there. But then he gets hit by George Teague there and pushed back. He got real close to getting that first down, but he took a big shot.
Yeah, Irving might be thinking he stayed a year too long after that hit.
He'll be 38 in 2 weeks as they'll measure here to see whether it's a 1st down or 4th down, and that much, and it is. So the Redskins now have their first critical decision of the night, and here comes the regular offense, or at least the jumbo portion of it, led by Stephen Davis.
And now this is another area where the Redskins excel. 4th down and short, because of this big offensive line and because of Stephen Davis. They are among the best in the league at converting 4th down and 1.
They go for it a lot. Stephen Davis averaging 4.8 this season, but last year they ran him very often on 4th down and 1 and with great success.
Well, they had 7 times 4th down and 1 last year, and they went for it, and they made a 1st down on 6 of those 7 attempts. So
4th and inches, and they give it to Davis, and he picks it up here, and the touchdown. Trey Johnson pulled from right guard and led the way. One of the reasons that Johnson went to the Pro Bowl last year. And Davis on a 4th and 1 puts it into the end zone. And again, red zone efficiency for the Redskins.
Well, once you get the 1 untouched, the rest of it falls into place pretty quickly.
Michael Husted just signed a couple of days ago because Brett Conway, their regular kicker, is hurt. The ex-Tampa Bay Buck and Oakland Raider scores his first point as a Redskin. So Dion and Bailey get it going with a run back. Turner on 4th and 1 sends Davis around the left side, and the Redskins take the lead. Halfway through the first quarter, 7-0 Washington. Brought to you by the all-new 2001 Aztec from Pontiac, quite possibly the most versatile vehicle on the planet. Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper makes the world taste better. FedEx, be absolutely sure. And Budweiser, with a crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer.
Watch the blocking here. It's Trey Johnson. He comes right here. But now watch this big block by Mike Sellers on linebacker Darren Hambrick. The thing about the Cowboys, they're not very big up front. Trey Johnson's 326 and Sellers is 260. Easy touchdown for Stephen Davis.
Well, the Redskins might be a dangerous creature tonight. Brad Johnson, like I said, staged for tonight with 4 interceptions last week. And I think it's good for the Skins to lose that second game of the season. There's so much pressure on them in this time. Why not get it out of the way? Now they can go win 4 or 5 in a row.
Michael Husted kicks off, fielded at the 7-yard line. This is Michael Wiley, a rookie from Ohio State. And he brings it back to the 27-yard line. 8:01 remaining in the opening quarter. Steadicam look at Stephen Davis pulling his way into the end zone. 7-0 Skins. Back at FedEx Field now as the Dallas Cowboys have the ball for the second time. Next week we go to Indianapolis. It's the Jaguars against the Colts on Monday Night Football. Redskins Giants is the Sunday game on ESPN. This drive begins with Emmitt Smith stumbling forward for 1.5 yards. You know, when you look at Randall Cunningham with Troy Aikman out, and they are hopeful that Aikman can play against San Francisco on Sunday. But when you look behind Cunningham, there is the backup quarterback who's never taken a snap in the NFL, Clint Sterner. He's a rookie from Arkansas.
Randall Cunningham calls him Elmo. We got the red hair and everything. I don't know what happens when you tickle him, but he seems like a nice kid.
Brad Johnson gets backed up by Jeff George. And Sterner backs up Cunningham. Chris Warren is in the game. And the pass goes to Jackie Harris, the tight end to the 40. Let's go to Eric for an injury update. Eric.
Wide receiver Wayne Garrett went in with a left sprained ankle. It happened on the punt return, and the Cowboys are not sure if he will return to the football game.
Ooh, now that's an interesting situation because with Galloway out for the season, McGarity had moved up on the depth chart, and not only that, but he is their primary punt returner, and they will miss the ability to do something like this, which took place last Sunday night against Arizona when he went all the way.
Might have to pull your guy, receiver coach Wes Chandler, out soon to play right out, Danny.
I think he still could.
1st and 10. Cunningham to the Rocket Ismail up to the 47-yard line, where he's tackled by Sean Barber.
Offensive coordinator Jack Riley told me that this pass offense does change a lot when Randall Cunningham is in there as opposed to Troy Aikman. It's a timing offense. There's, you see Jack right here. He said that with Randall, we'll see just what we just saw there. A little bit of rollout, more play action, more 7-man protections, and more bombs.
And as you saw in that graphic, the success that he has had in recent years against the Washington Redskins. On second down, they give it to Emmett, and he gets tackled as he crosses the line of scrimmage. An ankle tackle by Derek Smith.
You know, that was a classic example of a middle linebacker coming right into the hole after the tailback. You would expect a huge collision there. But Emmitt Smith has got such quick feet. Derek Smith was lucky enough just to get him by the ankles.
I would run Emmett all night tonight, 30 to 35 times, especially with McGarity and Galloway out. It's time for Adams, Allen, Stepnoski, Page, and Williams to step up, earn their check. Got to ride your big horses.
3rd and 2, Warren in the backfield. They have 4 receivers in this set. Cunningham on a straight drop back throws, and it's dropped. It would have been a first down, and Jackie Harris couldn't hold on.
Well, with McGarity out of the lineup with the injury, we're going to see a lot more of Jackie Harris tonight. Very rare to see him drop a pass. If he makes that catch, it's a first down, and the Cowboys continue to move the ball down the field. That's a crucial drop by Jackie Harris.
Now Micah Nord to do the punting. Deion Sanders. Arms extended, back at his 12.
Deion has a sense of the moment like Stephen Hawking.
Every moment. But this will not be his moment as the ball rolls into the end zone. He lets it go, and it's a touchback.
Nobody fakes a fair catch with more flair.
5:10 remaining in the opening quarter as you look at some of the sights around our nation's capital. Skins 7, Cowboys nothing. Mentioned at the top how difficult it is to make the playoffs when you start 0-3. First 3 games of the season since 1990 when the NFL went to 12 teams in postseason play. As you can see, just 3 of the 48 teams starting 0-3 made it to postseason play. From the 20-yard line, Washington begins this drive with Stephen Davis, who averages 4.8 yards per carry, picking up about 4.8 as we go to Melissa.
Al, using Champ Bailey on offense is something that the Redskins had planned on doing all along. He's just a second-year player, so they wanted him to concentrate on defense first. But with Michael Westbrook now out with the knee injury, they figured no time better than the present. He worked out with the offense in the spring. This past Tuesday, he came in on his off day and ran some pass routes. Norv Turner loves his speed, and obviously Bailey's comfortable in this position. His final year at Georgia, which was his junior year, he had 47 receptions.
And there is Champ. Not involved in this set right here as Davis gets it again, picks up the first down. Tough runner up to the 32. Stephen Davis, when he came up, was actually a fullback. He was the blocking back for Terry Allen for a year. Then they let Allen go and said, Stephen, you're our guy.
Norv says he's a classic I formation tailback in the mold of the USC tailbacks of the 70s and 80s. He's a little bit upright. He's physical. He runs a 4.5 40. And like all great backs, he has the skills and instincts to carry the ball every down, but he can also take it the distance. Good combination.
1st and 10. Davis is particularly adept early in games as Johnson gets chased out of the pocket and throws that one away. Chad Hennings put the pressure on, but Stephen Davis is the kind of guy who gets off very often to great starts, as he has tonight, where he's carried the ball 5 times for 25 yards. Not that that's particularly impressive, but he scored a touchdown, done some tough running. But there it is, yards per quarter last season. And as you can see, it's kind of a case of diminishing returns, averaging 6.1 in the first period.
But what it does is if you do that in the first period, it sets up your play action game. It makes the defense come up, play man-to-man, and it opens up the long pass for the Redskins, something they haven't had so far in the first 2 games.
Oh, you men with your football talk.
2nd down and 10. We'll get into synchronized swimming here in a minute. Stephen Davis picked up 3 up to the 36. Well, we talked about Daniel Snyder at the top of the show. Now the owner of the Redskins, 2nd year at the helm for him. And Brad Johnson talked about some of the changes since Snyder took over.
There's been a lot of moves, whether it's up in the front office. There's been a lot of made some great additions to the team in free agency this offseason. Every team in the league has high expectations. We're one of them. And I feel like we got a good chance to make things happen. He's given us a chance by putting the players on the field and treating us in a first-class way. And I think sometimes perception is a little bit different than reality, what's happening actually here in the locker room.
On 3rd and 7, they air it out, intended for Irving Fryer, and that is incomplete. And Irving, just 2 weeks shy of his 38th birthday, trailed and covered by Darren Woodson.
And I'm not so sure Irving Fryer expected this ball. He kind of slowed down at the end of his route and then had to gear it up to get by Woodson. By that time, the ball was long gone.
I like the way Snyder does business. In a town that deifies the status quo, this guy's a breath of fresh air. I think he's magnanimous up front. He gives you the tools. If you don't produce, his justice is swift and final. What better way to run a business?
Barnhart kicks. Jason Tucker with McGarity on the shelf right now, and Tucker gets taken down at the 23-yard line. The tackle is made there by Eddie Mason.
Ironic thing about Snyder is a telecommunications giant who has trouble with interpersonal communication.
.242 remaining in the opening quarter in Landover, Maryland, just outside the district. Oh, yeah. The Hogs came over from old RFK. This is the 5th year for this facility.
They're now called lobbyists, though.
From the 24-yard line. Cunningham drops the snap, picks it up, airs it out, wide open, a blown coverage. Chris Warren, nobody home defensively, touchdown. How about that? A fumbled snap, Randall picks it up, goes back, gets protected, and it's 76 yards for a touchdown.
Well, Dennis, I know you worked at a lot of improvs. No quarterback can improv or ad-lib better than Randall Cunningham. He knew he had Sam Shade man-to-man on the outside here. There's Shade, and there's Warren. Shade sees the fumble right there. And Warren didn't see the fumble, so he kept running. Randall knew he had the matchup he wanted, and when he saw him wide open, threw him a perfect pass.
Very Cornhusker-like play. The fumble-rooski.
No kidding.
Now the extra point, Tim Cedar. And Jack Riley pulling one out of the Dallas playbook as Cedar ties the game. They lined up Jackie Harris, the tight end, and the fullback, Robert Thomas, in the backfield, split Warren on 1st down, and the result is this.
He's a 37-year-old veteran, kept his head about himself, knew he had what he wanted down the field, and he delivered a beautiful pass.
What do I want the internet to be? I want it to be like Frank here.
Chris Warren has been in the National Football League since 1990. Played with the Seahawks through 97, then came over. He's caught 243 passes in his career. That was his longest reception. 76 to tie the game as the kickoff comes down into the arms of James Thrash. Now past the 20 and neck-tied at the 25-yard line. That's Darren Woodson, the strong safety, also playing on special teams.
With the fumble, Randall Cunningham is only going to drop back about 2 yards, but this offensive line does a super job. Solomon Page and Stepnoski right up front there, but on the outside, Eric Williams is going to be in a great battle all night long with Marco Coleman. And Eric Williams, number 79 here, he's expecting a deeper pass set, so is Coleman, so both of them are out of the play, but an extra shot there by Williams lets Coleman know he's going to be there all night long.
Now Brad Johnson on 1st down, gives it to Stephen Davis, and he picks up one before he's gang tackled. You know, guys, one interesting aspect of tonight's game, you're looking at the Minnesota Vikings starting quarterback, as you look at Chris Warren there, in 1997, that would be Brad Johnson, 1998, Randall Cunningham, and 1999, Jeff George. They're all here tonight, and Dante Culpepper's in Minnesota right now.
And I think Culpepper's going to stay there for a while. The one thing these other guys had in common that they had huge contracts, and we're looking to move on. This guy, got to get him back in the lineup somewhere. Too good a player to be sitting on the sideline.
2nd down and 9 from the 25-yard line as Johnson throws underneath. That's caught by Davis, and Stephen Davis pinballs his way up to the 40 before Darren Woodson finally clobbers him.
He was pinballing right till he got tilted by DW.
Now we're going to call on Butch Hanna, our umpire, to give us this picture. You see the passing lane that Johnson has to throw to Davis, and then he's looking upfield makes a couple miss right there. Barron Wortham right in the middle. 15-yard gain for the Redskins.
The Moody rep cam. Very Matthew Brady daguerreotype feel.
A minute to go in the quarter. The game tied at 7 as Johnson takes a deep drop and then flings it out. And the safety, Val Davis, started to look upfield before he looked the ball into his hands.
One thing the Cowboys are going to do defensively tonight is they're going to press the line of scrimmage on rundowns, but also play a very soft zone. They saw the success the Panthers had against the Redskins and the Lions last week. You see Johnson's looking down the field. He has nothing there because the Cowboys have both safeties, Woodson and Teague, playing about 20 yards deep. Redskins' longest pass completion this year, 26 yards to Larry Centers. That's a case of taking your eye off the ball. Simple as that for Stephen Davis.
Second down, 10. Quick drop, quick toss, and a slant. A great defensive play by McNeil. James Thrash makes the catch, and Ryan McNeil, who's been around for 8 years, makes the tackle.
And McNeil had to get away from Steven Alexander, the big tight end coming over, who was supposed to block him. Athletic play, though, by McNeil. Watch Alexander, number 80, coming out here, trying to take up number 47. Super play, Ryan McNeil.
With Deion going to Washington, they needed a corner, so McNeil's been around with Detroit, St. Louis, and last year Cleveland. Great play.
Goes way back to the University of Miami with Campo.
3rd and 11. It's a jailbreak. Here comes everybody, and the pass is caught by Fryer, and he gets dragged down, but not until he reaches the 47, and a first down as the quarter will come to an end. He's tackled by Izell Reese. So a spirited first period.
They're not the over-the-hill gang yet. They're on the brink of the hill.
Good first period. Game tied at 7, and Monday Night Football back to Washington after this message and a word from our ABC stations. We're back. We start the second quarter at FedEx Field in Landover. Al Michaels with Dan Fouts, Dennis Miller, Eric Dickerson, and Melissa Stark. Game tied at the 47-yard line. Champ Bailey is in offensively. And Johnson under pressure has the ball knocked away. It's a loose ball at the 50-yard line, and the Cowboys have it. Fumble by Johnson, and Dave Campos says, yes, sir. We were down by 7. We've caught him, and now we have the ball at the 50, and Greg Ellis, the defensive end, is the man who recovers the fumble.
And the play is made by Leon Lett right here, number 78. Watch his left hand as he reaches inside and barely knocks the ball out of Johnson's hand. And there's a reaction by Greg Ellis getting down underneath all the Redskins, though. So you got to give Leon Lett a sack and a forced fumble there. And a huge play.
Well, you know, all teams have better records when they have a turnover advantage, but the Skins take it to the extreme. They've only won 2 of the last 48 games in which they've committed more turnovers than their opponents. 2 wins, 45 losses at one time. So going up in turnovers does not help this team.
Here's Emmett Smith. Emmett pulls ahead for about 3. Talking about Cunningham and his rejuvenation. In fact, Randall talked about it last night.
I think that I've got that rejuvenated feeling of when I was younger. I'd gone through the time of 95 and 96 hating football and just not wanting to be in the game anymore, to coming back and playing 3 years in Minnesota and doing well, and then being around a lot of young guys in Dallas, you know, and Troy and just Emmett, the guys who just love the game, and that was really taken on my heart now, and I just feel rejuvenated even more so than I did in Minnesota.
And this is Emmett Smith plowing forward all the way down to the 36-yard line. You know, you think back now, you forget that Randall actually quit in 1996. In fact, his boss was one Mike Pearl, the executive producer at Turner Sports, because Randall went into sportscasting for a year. Then he came back, and he is playing, at least in the last 5 quarters, the 4 in Arizona, and tonight, as well as most quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well, forget the sportscasting. Nothing will rekindle your love of the game like installing marble in Vegas in the middle of the summer.
Yes. His hometown. That's exactly what he did when he went back. 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. Pressure is on. Randall fires and throws it away. Nobody was home because Bruce Smith got a hand on him. Another man, we haven't talked very much about Bruce tonight, but out of Virginia Tech, the longtime Buffalo Bill, they felt that, well, they'd gotten all they could out of Bruce. He was just too expensive. So here he is as he, in effect, comes home because his home is in Virginia.
Toma, you don't need a dozen moves to be a great pass rusher. Just 2 or 3. And then you set up your moves like a pitcher. And then you mix them up, and then you get in the head of that offensive tackle. Then you've got him.
Well, forget the 172.5 sacks. Think about what he does for Wilkinson, who to this point...
There's a flag down as LeVar Arrington came across the line of scrimmage. And so Bill Carollo, the referee, will be introduced.
Wilkinson has not produced to this point up in his career. I think the reason his nickname is Big Daddy is because he's been playing like Burl Ives. And I'm sure with Smith there, well, his work habits have improved.
Defense, 56, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Arrington clearly offsides, trying to make a big play. We're going to see him play a lot more tonight. He has made some impact plays, and Norv Turner told me that he just has to settle down and be more disciplined so we can rely on him. But boy, once he gets that part of the game, with his natural ability to move around the field and hit is what makes him so special.
Did you see him clock that guy on the Lions last week?
Yes, I did.
Douche!
2nd and 5 from the 32-yard line. End around. Rocket Ismail. Room to roam. Plenty of it. Inside the 20. A stiff arm. He takes care of Mark Carrier and gets inside the 15 for a gain of 20.
Boy, and he had the big convoy out in front, too. Had Robert Thomas leading him, number 44, and then number 73. Check this guy out right here. Larry Allen, 326 pounds, selling out. Another great play for the Cowboys, breaking tendencies a little bit. But with Ismail, he's such a threat anytime he has the ball in his hands that he will be a running back a lot tonight.
1st and 10 from the 12. Emmett, big hole to the 4. And the Cowboys, and you don't want to make too much of an early season game, but if they go 0-3 and the Giants are 3-0 and the Redskins are 2-1, good luck. This is a huge game. Down 7-0, tie the game, and now on the verge of taking the lead.
Well, you know, Al, you were we got a replay here.
Well, Dennis, what we see is just an offensive line that is dominant. And that's what's so surprising about that loss to Philly, and the way they couldn't protect Troy Aikman.
2nd and a short 3, just inside the 5. Emmett again. And Emmett, who loves to play on Monday night, he's the leading rusher in the history of this package. Stopped by Derek Smith.
Well, you talk about 3-0 and 0-3 teams. Obviously, 0-3 team's going to have trouble making the playoffs. 3-0 team's going to make it most of the time. But there's an interesting discrepancy between 2-1 teams and 1-2 teams. You start off 2-1, you're going to make the playoffs 57% of the time. But if you start off 1-2, you're only going to make it 24% of the time. It's a very key game for both teams.
3rd down and 1 from the 3. Smith again. Emmett seeking that hard yard. And very close.
And those figures are over a 10-year period since 1990 when the playoffs went to 12 teams.
Dave Campo will look on as they will bring the chains out.
This time Larry Allen can't get out fast enough. Number 73, right side of the screen. He does not get out in front of Emmett, and Shade is there to make the tackle. But Emmett got real close to a 1st down. And you know one thing, Cowboys are going to go for this one.
He's Sam Shady. He's the real Sam Shady. All you other Sam Shadys.
10 links short. Emmitt Smith, 3rd all-time in the National Football League, behind, of course, Walter Payton and the retired Barry Sanders. So Emmett would have a chance for that mark. 136 rushing touchdowns. That's a record.
Well, Sanders seemingly could care less about that record, but you know Emmett's going out there on one leg if he has to get it.
Look for Randall Cunningham with the quarterback sneak. He's got great spring in his legs, and he loves to go over the top.
As he did last week on a similar occasion. 4th down and 1. This time, no, a little flip back to Smith. And Emmett dances his way into the end zone.
Oh, Emmett.
Off a James McKnight block. What a play by one of the great runners in history. And it would figure, it looks like he stopped. He waits. He gets the block from McKnight. Campos says, yes, sir. And Dallas has the lead.
You want to talk about a crushing block. James McKnight just absolutely obliterated Mark Carrier right here. That's close to clipping. Wasn't called. That's a touchdown, Dallas.
Yeah.
Great patience by Smith to set up that block, but James McKnight's got to be awful happy. He sprung him for the score.
Well, Carrier just got postaled at FedEx.
And the kick by Tim Cedar is just good. As the Cowboys, with 10:45 to go in the half, on this great run by the great Emmitt Smith, lead by 7.
Take a look at this touchdown by Emmitt Smith. Jeff Zachary is our steady cam operator. There's the block by McKnight, and Emmett in the end zone. Beautiful pictures, but it really illustrated just how well Emmitt Smith set up the block by McKnight. Now, whether it's clipping or not, I guess it really doesn't matter.
Zachary following him all the way home.
Mike Ganor comes forward. 2 yards in the end zone. This is James Thrash coming straight up the middle. And out to the 28-yard line. 10.5 to go in a good first half in D.C. Cowboys up by 7. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. Nortel Networks, we're building the new high-performance internet. Budweiser, with a crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. And Charles Schwab, when we created a smarter kind of investment firm, we also created a smarter kind of investor. Dallas up by 7. Washington begins this drive from the 28-yard line, and they start with no gain by Stephen Davis. Darren Hambrick, the outside linebacker, the first to greet him. Second down and 10. Last 5 games in this series won by the Cowboys. And look at that 1 second from the bottom. There it is, 41-35 last year when Washington had a 21-point lead on opening day. Cowboys caught him in regulation, and then Aikman to Ismail, a long bomb to win it in overtime.
A 76-yard bomb, kind of like Chris Warren's 76-yard bomb here.
Second down 11 as Johnson surveys, dumps off underneath Davis, and Davis, avoiding a tackle by Darren Hambrick, is able to take it out to the 33-yard line, about 5 yards shy of the first.
But again, another example of the Cowboys playing a very soft zone, forcing Brad Johnson to come off his downfield receivers and dump it off to a back.
25.
Pass protection's pretty good, but this is a nice tackle by Hambrick. Or it's a nice missed tackle by Hambrick, rather. Looked like he had him there, didn't it?
Cost him about 3 yards. It's 3rd and 5. High snap out of the gun. Johnson gets it away. Caught by Fryer. Nice move by Irving. All the way out to the 44-yard line. Irving Fryer, who began his career in the early 80s with New England. He was the #1 choice in the '84 draft.
Al, he's so old that I played with him in a Pro Bowl game.
That's old.
He was a lot quicker then, too, but he has just enough quicks on this play to find the hole in the secondary, knows what he needs for the first down, and gets it.
Well, between Fryer and Andre Reed, you're talking about 2, 3, 4 receivers who are up above 1,800 catches, I believe.
And this is Stephen Davis. And you look at a guy like Fryer, and I was talking to Reed, and then Darrell Green came over tonight. Darrell Green looks so good, you could only look that good if you lived at Canyon Ranch, not just visited it.
Listen, there are a lot of guys who shoot their age in golf, but Darrell Green might be the first one to run his age in the 40.
There's a uniform of the New England Patriots back when I was playing in the NFL and playing with Irving Fryer over in Hawaii a couple of times. What a great player, and it's great to see him still playing.
Second down and 8 from the 46-yard line. Adrian Morrell, the 3rd down back, astride Johnson. And that is caught by Irving again, who tries to break it back to the inside, but no. and Woodson holds his ground and makes sure he doesn't pick up the first down.
Well, I think Fryer and Reed are both highly motivated because you think about it, these guys haven't had the greatest PR over their career. The writers choose the Hall of Fame, and I think these boys have to lay down some incredible numbers if they're going to be sure to get in.
Well, the thing about Fryer is he still has the quickness, but he has the knowledge, which is probably more important at this point in his career. He knows what he needs to do to get the job done. And after he makes the catch, he's just looking to make 1 or 2 yards instead of busting it all the way for the touchdown.
Well, his nickname's the Rev, and he's making believers tonight.
3rd and long 2, and that's knocked down. That's a volleyball spike.
Snuffed by George Johnson of the Golden State Warriors.
More like Ebenezer Ekubon. And Chris Samuels just gave him a shot after the spike by Ekubon. Norv would like to see Samuels give that shot just a little bit sooner.
And we've got a penalty, though, coming up here on Dallas. Bill Carolla, the referee.
Hands to the face. 47. Defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Ryan McNeil. So instead of 4th down, that penalty, to the consternation of Campo, called by Carollo's crew, gives Washington a first down.
Huge penalty against Ryan McNeil as he's in the bump and run, trying to control the receiver at the line of scrimmage, and his hands just got away from him, up into the face. Big play by Ekubon, though, to knock away that short pass.
7:11 to go in the half. A little toss. Davis. And that's a nice play from behind. That play was broken up by Alonzo Spellman, who's been rejuvenated as a Cowboy and in life as well. Bipolar disorder. Worked his way back. Had problems in Chicago. Cowboys took a chance on him. He's done a real nice job in the middle here.
Let's go back to that play between Ekubon and Chris Samuels. Check out this battle. It's a 3-step drop by Brad Johnson. There's a good job of recognition by Ekubon. Knows it's a short pass, and there's that athletic ability to get up in the air and knock it down. But this is what the Cowboys have to do all night, is use their quickness. They're not very big in their front 7, but they are extremely fast.
Looks to me like head coach Dave Campo placed a call to defensive coordinator Dave Campo to spend a little time with the unit this week.
2nd and 13, and that's caught over the middle by Larry Centers in the center of the field, but going next to nowhere. I hear a little booing.
You know, Johnson's only missed 4 passes out of 14, but he only has 75 yards to show for his 10 completions. Here's our ump cam again, right in the middle of the action. 3 Cowboys converging on Larry Centers.
Did you see the ump get creased on the ump cam yesterday?
Yeah, he got hit by a field goal down in Miami. Very dangerous work there in the NFL.
Luckily, they had the ump getting crease cam on the ump cam.
3rd down and 9 from the 43-yard line. Johnson slings it, and that's almost picked off by Ryan McNeil. That pass sailed on him, and the Boo Birds are out. James Thrash was the intended receiver.
Yeah, I think they're calling for Billy Kilmer.
Or Sonny Jurgensen, sitting right next door.
Sonny next to us with the biggest cigar this side of Cuba.
In full repose as he's on the air on radio. Johnson last week against Detroit, 4 picks. Of course, that one wasn't his fault. Centers lost it, and Pritchett ran it all the way back almost for a touchdown, and then 3 others, and down they went 15-10.
The key for Johnson tonight is not to get frustrated and force one down the middle. Take what the Cowboys are giving you and play a field position game.
Barnhart to punt. High floating kick. Tucker calls for a fair catch and holds it in at the 19-yard line. 5:36 left in the opening half at FedEx Field. Dallas 14, Washington 7. Next Monday night, we will be in Indianapolis. Under the dome we go, where the Colts, coming off an off week, take on the Jaguars, knocking off Cincinnati yesterday. Jacksonville comes in 2-1. Brunell and Peyton Manning, and then the Redskins and Giants have at it. Good game on ESPN Sunday night at 8:30. Giants 3-0, as are the Jets.
Dano, I'm having trouble getting loose. Ear hole me, baby.
Is that better?
Emmitt Smith. You know, we talked about Emmitt and the possibility of somehow maybe breaking the record of Walter Payton, and we'll talk about that as we proceed tonight. But first, Melissa Stark.
Michael Westbrook out for the rest of the season after tearing his ACL in his left knee last week. You're scheduled to have surgery in 2 weeks. What's the schedule of your rehab going to be?
Probably about 6 months. Depending on how fast I heal, it could be up to 6 months.
You're coming off of a career year. You started all 16 games. How disappointing is this?
It's very disappointing to think that, I still have like a whole season to wait before the season ends. It'd be different if it was like 4 games, like it was like 14.
You were giving the guys some pointers on the sidelines. What are you telling them?
Just, stay with them. We have a lot of time left in the game. Don't give up on your team. Just keep your heads in the game. Things like that.
Well, good luck with the surgery, and we wish you a speedy recovery.
Thanks.
Al, they could use him back.
Yes, they could, and it's interesting that both teams are minus their top wide receivers for the season because Joey Galloway was hurt on opening day for the Cowboys. Now it's 3rd down and inches. James McKnight just caught the last pass, and there goes the great one, or actually through the middle to pick up the 1st down.
It almost seems like Westbrook and Cordell Stewart expended all their football karma on that Hail Mary pass in Ann Arbor that day. Both guys have had really tough roads to hoe since then. Between the Stephen Davis incident, the injury now after a career year, Cordell just looks lost to me at Pittsburgh. One wonders if that might have been their gleaming moment in the sun.
To this point, it has been. At the 32-yard line, clock ticking down. About 4 minutes remaining in the opening half. Cunningham slings it. Tip incomplete. Good coverage on the play by Deion Sanders. So the Lions went Sanders' way a lot last week, but tonight Dallas has not been going toward Deion, and this time McKnight is on the other end. And there is a look at Emmitt Smith, as you can see, 3rd all-time. And if he can stay healthy, he has a chance to eclipse Walter Payton.
And this number is updated tonight. He's off to a good start. The touchdown, but also the little things like converting on 3rd down there when he just needed a yard, gave us about 4 moves to pick it up.
Well, you might as well give him the carries because Campo told us in the coaches meeting the other night he takes his biggest shots since he's such a gamer when he's blocking for the other guy.
2nd and 10. They empty the backfield. Randall fires. It is caught. He goes to the tight end LaFleur, but no. Incomplete. No fumble. Never had possession. 3rd down and 10. Tonight's aerial shots are being provided by Southwest Airlines. They built this facility. Jack Kent Cooke, the late owner of the Redskins, put it together. The stadium was originally named after him, but these days, of course, when you get millions and millions and millions of dollars to name it after a corporation, there goes Jack Kent Cooke, and it's hello FedEx.
Apropos, because if these guys don't deliver, they will be fired absolutely positively. You fill in the blank.
Overnight. Flozell Adams with a full start.
Yeah, when the hotel moves too early, you know you're offsides. Flozell the Hotel Adams. You didn't know that, did you, Dennis?
No, but that's a cute nickname. Maybe we should stay there next time. I got hammered at 8 in the morning.
3rd down.
If it ain't a 4 Seasons, we should stay at Flozell Adams.
The walls in our hotel are so thin, I can hear my neighbor's innermost doubts.
That's next week.
That's a crucial mistake, though, by Adams because they were 3rd and 10. Now it backs them up to 3rd and 15. Tough situation for the Cowboys, especially with McGarity out of the lineup.
3rd and 15. Redskins show blitz and back off. And Randall gets sacked. Randall goes down. That is Marco Coleman and Bruce Smith, the 2 ends, bracketing him. And Randall gets sacked for the 467th time in his career, most among active QBs.
Well, 137-year-old guy against another. Look at the speed of Bruce Smith as he went way wide and collapsed the pocket right around Adams. And who was there on the other side but Marco Coleman? They'll split that sack in half.
Come on, Stubblefield. Come on, Wilkinson. Look at, we got the guys from the gin game playing here.
Mike Denora to punt. Deion back to receive, nearly blocked. Flag is thrown. Sanders from the 35. Coming around the corner up to the 45-yard line. LeVar Arrington came through and almost blocked it.
This shows you the type of athletic ability that Arrington has. He came within an eyelash of blocking that one. And if he had blocked it, he wouldn't have counted anyway because of the holding penalty. Check out number 56. He's right here. Watch the speed as he moves inside on Izell Reese. What a great head fake by a big linebacker.
Wow. On the receiving team, number 23. Well, the kick was in the air. 10-yard penalty. 1st down. Timeout.
time I saw that move in D.C., Phil Chenier was going to the hole.
The old Golden Bear. 3:11 to the half. Cowboys by a touchdown.
Didn't that used to be 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza?
It did.
I'm thinking the girl.
Economical move. From the 25-yard line, going deep is Johnson, and that is incomplete, intended for Albert Connell, who's been a silent man tonight. Here's a guy who really has to pick up the slack with Westbrook gone, but he hasn't caught a ball tonight.
Well, listen, Westbrook had a career year last year, but you prorate his first 5 seasons. You're talking about essentially 40 receptions, 700 yards, 4 TDs a year. And I think Connell with his Connell, what is he, Dano?
Connell.
Okay, Connell. I think he can replace him.
Well, he's so fast. He's one of the fastest Redskins, and he's very effective on crossing routes against man-to-man. But the Cowboys are going to just play a lot of zone tonight.
2nd and 10. Johnson out of the gun. 4-man Cowboy rush. Caught underneath. And that is Adrian Morrell taking it up to the 33-yard line.
You know, the Cowboys playing with Randall Cunningham at quarterback tonight. He came real close to blowing out his knee. Watch Marco Coleman go low on that right knee, but Randall is so flexible. He broke his leg back in '91, but I don't ever really recall this guy ever taking that crucial shot that knocks him out of a ball game.
Wow, those are slinky joints there. He bounced right up.
Yeah, really.
And remember, Clint Sterner's the backup, who's taken nary a snap in his career. Johnson throws. That's caught by Connell, so Connell gets on the board, moves it to the 45-yard line.
We talk about a great job of a quarterback searching and trying to find somebody get open. So he went through 4 or 5 reads there and finally went back to Connell and found him right over the middle.
That's a necessity read there. He knew he was about to bit plowed.
And Connell did a good job of squaring up and giving Brad a nice square target. But you can see that the Redskins are getting a nothing on the long ball tonight.
2-minute warning. 2 minutes to the half in Washington. The Redskins down by 7, have it at their own 45-yard line. They have all of their timeouts remaining. Adrian Morrell is the sole setback. Johnson deep over the middle, contact, no flag, intended for Steven Alexander. The tight end going through the middle, covered on the play by Joe Bowden.
Well, sometimes Norb looks for that pass interference. Said last year they had 21 against them for over 500 yards. It's a nice play in their repertoire.
Joe Bowden with good coverage there.
But Dexter Coakley has been mic'd throughout the first half, so we're going to try something new.
These Lions, baby.
At halftime.
You know what I'm saying, team? Little man battling with these Lions, baby.
You'll
what
hear
they really want.
Dexter Coakley and all the things that he has talked about in the first half. That's coming up at halftime.
Hear that baby thing, Al? It's catching on.
It is. You like that?
You've started a craze.
I stopped calling you baby, and now Coakley's calling everybody baby.
You're an international jet setter, Al Michaels.
That's right. Via prop.
The King Air.
That's right.
4 stops, 1 in Reykjavik.
And Sisters, Oregon.
Oh, man.
No, not that far out. Andy Griffith won't go to Sisters. Oh, I'm sorry, you live there. Just kidding, Sisters. That's near Vera Ellen and Roe Clooney, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right up.
Speaking of Oregon, there's a man who went to school at Oregon, followed Dan Fouts by 2 years with the Ducks. 3rd down and 10. Champ Bailey is in the game. The defensive back is split wide to the right. And a flag goes down. And what happened is Bailey cut off his pattern. He was covered by the rookie Kareem Larimore. If he was impeded, it could be defensive pass interference. We'll see. But Johnson was throwing long. Bailey had the route cut off. And is it offense or defense?
It was a double move on the outside by Bailey. This is going to go against the defense.
Contact, 41, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Hit him after the 5-yard zone here.
Nobody gets a quicker feel for impeding than my friend Al Michaels.
Yes.
There's the chuck on the outside as Bailey's just trying to use his speed to get down the field. You saw the flag fly by. But with all the speed on the Redskins, we talked about Connell and Darrell Green and Deion Sanders. There's the flag. Good throw. Back breaking up off his back foot even. Yes. But Norv says that Champ Bailey has the best raw football speed.
I think
that's not good form.
I think he was setting up the screen.
Gonna hang in there.
From the 50. Here come the Cowboys. It's a bad snap, and it's all Johnson can do to take an 18-yard sack back at the 32-yard line. They were all coming.
Wow. Steve Sable's printing coupons on that one.
Mark Fisher's a center, and this is why a lot of teams just don't like to use the shotgun. One bad snap can ruin your entire evening. Here the Redskins had the ball at the midfield line, and that's a perfect spiral right over the top of 6'5" Brad Johnson, and Johnson very smartly covered up at the 32. Crucial mistake.
And that's where they miss Corey Raymer, who is their starting center, but Raymer is hurt and figures to be back in a couple of weeks with a knee injury. 2nd and 28. And that not looking for it was Steven Alexander.
Now you're starting to see the frustration. The Cowboys have gotten into the head of Brad Johnson right now.
You can tell the whole level of expectation has been stepped up in this city. You got Daniel Snyder like Bruce Ismay from the White Star Line, and he wants a fast crossing, and it looks like the fans are going to demand one too. Ordinarily, I don't think Brad Johnson would be sweating this, but well, the bar has been set higher in Washington, D.C. this year.
3rd down, 28. All 3 timeouts remain, and they stay on the ground, and they give the ball to Centers. And he takes it to the 43, and you're guaranteed having the Boo Birds come out when you run a running play in this situation, even though it is 3rd and 28.
That's the key, though, Al. 3rd and 28. Not a lot of plays in the playbook, and the way the Cowboys are playing a 3 deep, just rushing 3. Norv Turner's thinking more about field position here and giving his punter a chance to pin the Cowboys back at the end of the first half here.
I don't remember the first coach to say it, but it's so true. The minute you let the fans start coaching your team, you join the fans. You're with them. You're sitting in the stands.
You can't afford a seat. When you start getting booed for not converting a 3rd and 28, you know the room's a little uptight.
Now the fans got to realize that it's just the first half. It's just a 7-point ball game. This one's going to go all the way down to the end. This is a bad sign, though, if Larry Centers can't go all the way to the end. So valuable for the Redskins offense.
So now Barnhart to punt. The Cowboys have they have 2 timeouts remaining with 58 ticks. Jason Tucker is back to receive. Jeff George, the man in waiting. And of course, the most romantic figure in any town when the team doesn't win is the 2nd or 3rd quarterback. Seconds remaining in the half.
Well, that snap was a little low. That wasn't quite as far as the shotgun snap.
A different guy, but Ekuban Ebenezer, if he wasn't so tired from just playing defense, he had a chance of blocking that one. Good heat by the Cowboys on Barnhart on that punt.
That's Ekuban, Ebenezer.
Let's check it out. He just doesn't dive. If he dives for the foot of the punter, he may not only block the punt, he may break the foot.
Hey, any way you cut it, you try to say that guy's name fast and you're scrooged.
4.7's pretty fast.
One of 9 defensive ends in the National Football League who went to school at North Carolina. 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. It's Chris Warren up to the 33-yard line.
And Dean Smith, quite the recruiter.
Yes. 2 timeouts remain for the Cowboys, but they appear to be content to go into the locker room with a 7-point lead on the road in a game in which they're about a 10-point dog.
Well, I think Campbell learned a lot about his team in this half. Going down 7-0 pretty quickly and hanging in there. He's got to like it.
I think we're learning a little bit about Dave Campbell preparing a team for a game they have to win. 2nd down and 4, and they're turning in a very good first half as Chris Warren takes it up to the 37. So the Skins get on the board first. The crowd gets electrified by that Deion Sanders Champ Bailey punt run back. But then the Cowboys come from behind to take the lead, and the teams depart the field at the
That's the
half.
end of the first half.
The Campos Cowboys leading the Redskins by a score of 14-7.
Tough room, tough room.
Sounds of the game. Remember, we've mic'd Dexter Coakley. First half highlights as well. Right now, here's Melissa Stark.
All right, Bruce, after the Cowboys' second touchdown, the defense picked up its intensity a bit. What do you do to continue that in the second half and get to Randall Cunningham?
Well, we have to put it together. I think we've been applying pressure to Randall Cunningham. What he's been doing is throwing the ball very quickly. We've also been making him dance around back there in the backfield, but we have to put it together in all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams. We just haven't done it as of yet.
All right, thanks, Bruce. Let's go over to Eric Dickerson on the Cowboys sideline with Randall Cunningham.
Randall, what have y'all done in the first half to keep to keep the Redskins off balance?
Eric, I think we're just keeping a balanced attack and not turning the ball over. That's what killed us in the preseason, turning the ball over so much. So as long as we can keep a balanced attack, we can keep it going.
Okay. Thank you, Randall. Good luck. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Eric. Coming up, the Toyota halftime show. Dexter Coakley mic for tonight's game. When we come back after this word from the NFL and a word from our local stations.
Now you can customize.
Good first half. Dallas leading Washington 14-7. You know, for years, NFL Films has done a great job. We've seen a lot of players mic'd, and then you might see it a few days later or years later. Well, tonight's something different. Dexter Coakley mic'd during the first half. So let's take a look at Dexter Coakley's world in the first half tonight.
What they really want? Huh? What they really want? We gonna get that roll on tonight. Let's have fun, baby. Let's have fun. Monday night, baby. Monday night. Let's go, baby. Let's do it. Hey, make it happen. Make it happen. Woo! Oh, this is little man, baby. Battling with these lions, baby. You know what I'm saying, T? Little man battling with these lions, baby. What they really want? Huh? You know, Coach, it ain't no secret, D-Hell. It ain't no secret. You know they gonna run. It ain't no secret.
Play every down as your last down. You got one down at a time, getting after them for 60 minutes. Let's have a good time doing it, baby.
Hey, go games, combo man. Go games. Nickel, nickel, nickel. No! No! They told me you're a little tough. What's up, baby?
Fourth and inches, and they give it to Davis, and he picks it up here, and the touchdown.
I think somebody grabbed my leg on that goal line play.
What, you trying to come across?
Yeah. They're going to try to do something to slow us down.
Nice job on the screen, okay? Nice job on the screen. Way to pick him up.
Cunningham drops the snap, picks it up, airs it out, wide open, a blown coverage. Chris Warren, nobody home defensively, touchdown.
That's one. That's one. Let's go, big dog. Keep it up. Keep it up. Relentless. Relentless. Relentless.
This time, no, a little flip back to Smith, and Emmett dances his way into the end zone.
Oh, Emmett.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Zoe, let's go back to work, big dog. Peppy, let's go back to work. Let's go back to work. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Hey, baby.
I know it. Hey, I'm out. You know, your heart.
Appreciate it. This is our house. This is our house. This is our house, baby.
Well, we have the ump cam, we have the steady cam, and how about that for topical information? As NFL Films provides us with Dexter Coakley and his first-hand look at the first Monday night. We will be going to Indianapolis, where the Jacksonville Jaguars come to town. The Jaguars are now 2-1 because yesterday they knocked off the Bengals. The only touchdown scored in this controversial play ruled a touchdown when they reviewed it. Keenan McCardell into the end zone. The Jaguars, meanwhile, with the first shutout in the history of the franchise, and win the game 13-0. Meanwhile, we'll take a look at Peyton Manning Marvin Harrison, the great receiver, and Edgerrin James, the big three. The Colts with a record of 1-1. Jacksonville and Indianapolis next Monday night at 9 Eastern and 6 Pacific. Okay, a lot of old geezers in play tonight here at FedEx Field. Not that Dan Faust is an old geezer, but Danny's got the old geezer report.
Well, you know, Al, I played against Bruce Smith a long time ago. He still has that quickness that he had back then. 37 years old, got 2.5 sacks on the season so far, doing it by example and also coming through with the big sack when he needed to. And on the offense for the Redskins, another old geezer, Irving Fryer, leading receiver tonight for the Redskins, showing that he has that competitive desire to do whatever it takes, running precise routes and almost pulling away. Couple of old guys, Al, getting the job done tonight.
Well, it figures the Dallas offensive starters average over 30 years of age, and the Cowboys lead 14-7, second half coming up from Washington. Very important early season game, and the Dallas Cowboys coming to town 0-2, desperate for a win. Washington at 1-1, trying to remain a game back of the Giants, their foe on Sunday. And after Washington takes the early lead, back come the Cowboys with some brilliant play calling tonight. Dave Campo with the upper hand right now over Norv Turner's team. The halftime score, 14-7 Cowboys. And Washington to kick off as we start the second half. Michael Houston comes forward. And this is Michael Wiley to run it back from the 3-yard line. And Wiley gets upended up at the 23-yard line by Mike Sellers. All right, Dan, the numbers for the first 30 minutes.
Well, they're pretty telling. 14-7 is the score in favor of the Cowboys. And they lead in rushing as Emmitt Smith has got 45 yards. But Stephen Davis only averaging 2.7. And of these passing yards right here, Cunningham is doing it with just 5 completions, taking Brad Johnson 12 completions to get those 90 yards. But the Redskins, with time of possession, they're just not doing anything with this almost 5-minute advantage.
Now the Cowboys again minus Troy Aikman. They hope to have him back Sunday. In the meantime, Cunningham, good job last week. Good job thus far tonight. Little toss back to Emmitt Smith. And Dion tackles Smith at the 26-yard line. So there's Dion in on the tackle.
Well, that's what Jack Riley told me he wanted to do. We saw it early in the first half with the Cowboys getting out in front of Emmitt Smith with the big lineman. And they want to make Dion come up and play off a block and also make a tackle. Dion turns it back to the inside where Stubblefield helps out. But this is a 4-yard gain and a pretty good way to start your first half for the Cowboys.
We saw Carrier get knocked out of the way, Dano. He's just back after a 1-game suspension. I want to talk to him after this play. See if that was legal when you were playing the helmet-to-helmet stuff.
2nd and 7 up at the 27-yard line. Cunningham scrambling. Looks like the young Randall out to the 38-yard line.
It's really a defensive coordinator's nightmare to see a running lane open up in the pass blocking and in the pocket for Cunningham. Once he sees it, and Ray Rose has seen this many times, Cunningham still has this ability to direct traffic. He tells Ishmael to turn around and block somebody. So he blocks Bailey, and that gets Randall an extra 5.
Meanwhile, on that play, Emmitt Smith was trying to call a timeout, couldn't get it, and Deion Sanders goes hobbling off the field, and he's on the sideline right now. Darrell Green in the game at right corner, and the handoff goes to Smith, who picks up about 3 to the 41. Melissa?
Larry Centers injured his left elbow. They are x-raying it now, and they're evaluating him. No word yet on whether or not he'll return.
Nice to bring Darrell Green in for Deion Sanders, though.
Yeah,
That's gotta feel good.
He's had a lot of injury problems, too, especially with his legs, and that has affected his reaction to pass plays. Not his flat-out speed, but just making some sharp cuts.
2nd and 7 up at the 41-yard line. Randall steps up, throws deep, incomplete, and that's Green step for step with James McKnight, and now a flag comes in.
McKnight was complaining that Green was holding him as he ran that post pattern. Flag came in real late, though.
And they're going to call it on the 40-year-old.
Head linesman Tom Stabile called that play.
Darryl saying, Tommy, I'm a Hall of Famer, 50 Septors. You got to give me my props on that.
28, defense, arm bar on the receiver, automatic first down.
And the arm bar means that he was impeding his progress down the field. From the Steadicam, we should get a pretty good picture of this. It happened just before. There goes out the right hand there, but I'm not so sure that ball was catchable, though. And I'm not so sure that the head linesman was in position to make that determination. The ball was clearly overthrown.
Where's the respect? Talk about Carrier back to that point real quick, Dan. When I saw that hit, it just looked like football to me. Was that?
I think that they're punishing Mark Carrier for his past sins. That play, he knocked the ball away with his left hand against the Lions. Did make contact with the helmet.
1st and 10 at the 32-yard line. Sanders back in. That's caught out in the flat. And Emmitt Smith gets taken down at the 32-yard line with 12.5 minutes remaining in the third. Well, Jerry Jones, the eternal optimist, and we talked to him last night, and I asked him what he had to be optimistic about on the eve of this game.
Football, all of my life, even when I played it, was mostly down times and a rare percentage of the real high times. And you've got to be ready to deal with them. And we've got a challenge. We don't like starting off 0-2, but the way to turn that around would be a great win against the Redskins. Personnel-wise, I think we can get the job done.
And so far they have the lead as Cunningham throws on 2nd down, intended for LaFleur, and that is incomplete.
You can see the difference with Randall Cunningham operating this offense and Troy Aikman. One thing, Randall's just not used to the hot reads. That time the Redskins came with a blitz. He wanted to hit his tight end LaFleur on the look-in route, but the timing was just thrown off. Randall can give you a lot with the ad-lib plays and his athletic ability. LaFleur's not looking. That's just miscommunication between the quarterback and the tight end.
The 32-yard line. They empty the backfield. Quarterback draw. What year are we in? Is this 1985? Randall started doing that as a rookie. Remember, they called him the ultimate weapon when Philadelphia first drafted him. He sort of redefined or helped to redefine the quarterback position with plays like that.
Well, and he's smart, too. He sees that nobody is in the middle. He had a quarterback draw play called all along, but he didn't hurry it. He took his time. He knew he had big yardage. Look at him look down the field, sell the fake, and take off. He looks like he's 27.
What a beautiful athlete. That guy's been sacked 466 times. Still moves like an 18-year-old.
From the 18, Cunningham flings it, and that's incomplete, intended for Emmitt Smith.
You know, you almost get tempted if you're the coach, Jack Riley or Ernie Zampese, to just go back and draw up the sandlot plays with Randall. He can buy so much time. He can create so many opportunities for himself and for his receivers by running around back there. Drives coaches nuts, but it also drives defensive coaches even more nuts.
2nd and 10. 4 minutes into the third quarter. Cowboys on the move again. Smith swinging to the outside. Nothing happening. Emmitt taken down after a gain of 1. Well, we talked about Cunningham going all the way back to when he was drafted out of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. His brother was Sam Bam Cunningham of New England Patriot fame. And it was Randall with plays like this, several of them on Monday nights, avoiding that sack there, then the touchdown pass, moves like that. And we go all the way forward to tonight with that quarterback draw. Same old Randall.
Amazing athleticism out of that Cunningham family. I remember nobody shot over the top at the goal line like Sam Bam.
3rd down 8 from the 16-yard line. And on a blitz, blitz. It turns out to be an effective run blitz as Chris Warren gets tackled at the line of scrimmage. And now the Cowboys will have to settle for about a 33-yard field goal.
But I like that call. They didn't force it down the field. They kept the ball between the uprights. They're going to bring out Cedar to try a field goal to give them a 10-point lead.
You know, you got to hand it to kicker coach Steve Hoffman for these Cowboys. Every year I have no idea who these kickers are. The guy evidently keeps a collection of 500 tapes. He's always got a fresh guy. Richie Cunningham, Todd Bridges, who knows who, but they always seem to produce.
32 yards. They've never put a premium on kickers, but they seem to make them stars. Then they go, then they find a new one. This kick is good with 9:41 left in the third. Dallas by 10.
Sugar Bowl ain't gonna hurt you. Go on, city boy, get in there. Sugar Bowl ain't gonna hurt you.
Just because someone says it doesn't make it true. So if an internet travel site...
Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Dodge. In a perfect world, everything would be different. Lee Dungarees, Buddy Lee tested, Buddy Lee approved. Original Coors, when you're an original, you do it your way. Original Coors. And by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL, an official airline of the Super Bowl.
The Jefferson Memorial, a stunning testimonial to TV's beloved Wheezy Jefferson. Isabel saying.
I thought it was John Jefferson.
Hey, there you go.
I saw JJ tonight, as did you, Dan.
He has a monument in San Diego.
McEnore's kick, fielded by James Thrash, a yard into the end zone. He brings it back out to the 20. And all of a sudden, the Washington Redskins with a problem right now. Down by 10, 9:31 left in the third in D.C. So 9:31 remaining now, and next Monday, the Jaguars and the Colts have at it on Monday Night Football. Always a lot of fun to go to Indianapolis. Redskins and Giants on ESPN Sunday night.
That, of course, was the Snyderette dance team.
From the 20-yard line, the Redskins begin this march with Stephen Davis up to the 22-yard line for a gain of 2.
Antsy vibe in this stadium, guys. You can tell the local citizenry is getting a little cranky. They might want to put together at least a nice drive here.
People are already lined up for tomorrow's radio talk shows. There are the quarterbacks. Now, Cunningham, 6 out of 14, but the big play was the pass to Warren for 76 yards. That was the touchdown. That got them even, and now they're up by 10. Johnson throws, and that's incomplete. Fryer up at the 37-yard line, and the pressure that time was put on by Leon Lett. Dan Snyder, we talked about him at the very top, bought this team with the stadium for $800 million. And right now the value is maybe a little bit less, so it's hard to tell. That's one survey that would tell you that. But what he's done is he came in, and this was a new stadium, but it was unfinished. I mean, the first time I walked in here, I said, you know, they spent all of this money. It looks like an erector set. So he's put in about $40 million, and he's really spruced the place up.
The bathroom has flat screen TVs over each urinal. I'd say that's spruced up.
Yes, I would say so on 3rd and 8, and that's a spruced up Irving Fryer who gets clotheslined by George Teague. Does he pick up the first down? And he does, because the nose of the ball is across the 30-yard line.
The nose of the ball may have been across, but after Teague hit him, his nose was knocked about 2 yards back. Johnson hits the dirt because of Ecubon, but he hung in the pocket there and found Fryer for the first down. Big hit by George Teague, though. Almost knocked the ball loose.
I ran into Sonny Jurgensen outside the booth at halftime, which, by the way, is the hippest sentence I'll ever utter. Sonny told me they got to turn Brad Johnson loose, let him throw the ball downfield.
Well, you're just asking for interceptions if you do that. As deep as the Cowboys are playing their secondary.
You know, Sonny, damn the torpedoes.
From the 30, and laying out for it was Albert Connell. And it's incomplete.
You say it, they do it. Like that. I feel like Albert Brooks in broadcast news.
You've seen my flop sweat, haven't you? Watch this flop by Connell. You just got to make that catch as difficult as it might be in a game like this to turn the momentum around. Albert knows it.
2nd and 10 at the 30-yard line. Norv Turner, his offense tonight, the longest pass play, 15 yards. The longest pass play in 2.5 games now this season, 26 yards. They're not getting big plays. 2nd down and 10. Johnson throws, and that is tipped, and it is incomplete. Nearly intercepted by Izell Reese, who's going to plead his case. Leon Lett's going to plead it with him.
That'll be interesting if Dave Campo challenges this call, because it was right in front of him. He's asking for help upstairs. Should I challenge, he said. Take a look at it. A lot of pressure on Johnson as he searches for a receiver. Finds one in Alexander, too far off his hands and out of our picture for that one, but we'll get another look at it. You can guarantee that ball hit the ground. Good call by the officials.
Yep.
No interception.
No challenge. Good call. 3rd down. 10 from the 30-yard line. Andre Reed is in the game. Split wide to the right. And this is caught by Reed. And the long-time Bill and probable future Hall of Famer is short of the 1st down at the 38-yard line.
You know, Dan, the only thing I can say is that when we talk to Mike Martz, he says he's never going to let a defense dictate to him what he does. And you're saying that the Skins seem to be throwing shorter because the Cowboys are not allowing them. That Martz has that, hey, forget what you do. It's about what we do.
What Martz has with the Rams is speed all along the line for his wide receivers. The Redskins don't. I mean, they're playing Fryer and Reed as 2 of their 4 wide receivers.
Barnhart's punt. This is Tucker. Tackled immediately. Historical footnote on that one drive when Fryer caught his pass, he tied Steve Largent for 5th all-time in receptions. When Reed caught his pass, he tied Steve Largent for 2nd all-time in receptions, tying Chris Carter for 2nd. 7:10 left in the 3rd. 17-7 Dallas. .7:10 remaining in the 3rd quarter as the Dallas Cowboys come into town. And if you can be in desperate shape this early in the season, that's where they were coming in. 0-2, 10-point underdog, and they lead 17-7 from the 16-yard line. That's tipped, and that's the break the Redskins need. Sam Shade makes the interception off the tip by Chris Warren.
Cunningham liked his matchup on the outside. Warren, we saw him get deep earlier in the game. This is going to be a hook route with Sean Barber, the linebacker, out on Warren. Worst thing you can do as a receiver is knock the ball up in the air because the defensive backs are just looking for it. Great play by Shade as he takes it away from LaFleur. And Al, as you said, the break the Redskins need because they're real close to that red zone, and they're very effective once they get there.
Well, Campo's so perpetually optimistic. I'm sure he told his defensive unit this is a chance for them to shut him down, really take psychological hold of this game. Forever upbeat.
From the 23-yard line, Stephen Davis, huge hole, and then taken down at the 15. George Teague knocks him down. And even Davis appreciates what a good tackle that was.
It certainly was, because Davis, you talk about a full head of speed as he follows the huge hole there. You see Keith Sims, and Teague right around the throat takes him down. I think Norv Turner might have talked to the Redskins offensive line during the last possession for the Cowboys.
2nd and 2. Here's Davis again, and barrels forward to the 13-yard line to move the chains.
Well, the Skins better get this one in, or you're going to hear a whole bunch of booing here.
Well, the important thing is to come away with some points. They're already in field goal range. That would cut the lead to 7, but they're thinking touchdown right now. Mike Sellers leading from his fullback position, just enough to get the 1st down.
From the 12, out of the eye, with Davis the tailback. Steven. Hard running, takes it to the 7-yard line.
A little counter play that time for Stephen Davis. Started out following Sellers to the left side, and then a pre-designed cutback to the right, and gets it inside the 10-yard line. Watch the fullback go this way, and now Davis with the counter. He sees Hambrick coming from the outside, finds a little crack in the defense, picks up good yardage.
2nd and 5. And again, this propensity to run in the red zone and with great effectiveness. 1st and goal at the 1.
Well, they're doing it with the lead play, and now they're coming back with 2 straight counter plays. That's the roll the dice attitude of Norv Turner. Very unpredictable calling the plays. Watch the fake to the left side and then back to the right side behind John Jansen and Trey Johnson and almost in the end zone. This guy can get in the end zone.
Well, as we alluded to earlier, Norv Turner likes to run it down there about 10% more than the rest of the league. He's obviously onto something.
1st and goal from the 1. Why not? Davis again, and leans and is in. Has the touchdown.
Oh, Campo had this game just where he wanted. The Chris Warren tip. Everything's in play again.
Boy, Norv Turner has got his offensive line working in perfect harmony with the running backs. Trey Johnson with a kick-out block there. Mike Sellers with the push up front and the lean at the perfect time to get across the end zone before his knee touches.
First guy to greet the offensive unit as they come off the field is Jeff George.
Boy, I would challenge that. That's no touchdown. His knee was down before the lean.
Houston for the point after, and that kick is just good. A week ago today, Houston was surfing in San Diego. Tuesday, he went to Denver to try out for the injured Jason Elam's role, which went to Joe Nedney. He was ready to go to the Jets for a tryout there, winds up here with Conway hurt, and just does make this big extra point. 17-14.
It's so different. It's the best minivan ever. With the first power hatch ever in a minivan. The first 3-zone climate control ever in a minivan. The first movable center console with power outlet and more. But even with all that's different, there's one thing we'll never change. The all-new Dodge Grand Caravan. Different.
It was the summer of '32 in Westfield, Alabama. It wasn't unusual to see Willie Mays and his dad tossing around a baseball. But something made Willie and his dad a little different from other fathers and sons. You see, in the summer of '32, Willie Mays was 15 months old.
When you're an original, you do it your own way. Original Coors.
Here's to being original.
I think you have to start with the off-season chemistry first.
You gotta have a lot of teamwork.
First thing, you gotta stay healthy.
Preparation.
Definitely a great coach.
Just a desire to go out and get it done.
Well, first you gotta start with the fans.
Fans are the pulse of the stadium.
You gotta get dirty.
What I found is white shoes makes you look fast.
A lot of luck goes into it. Veteran leadership, that's a must.
All of a sudden, something gels.
And voila.
There's a lot of different things to success.
Coming out of the gate, I mean, everybody's a Super Bowl contender right now.
She could have had any man, but she married him and called it true love. Now she's fighting for his millions.
I'm ready to go kick some butt.
Good Morning America tomorrow.
Michael Usted to kick off for the Washington Redskins, and back deep, Michael Wiley and Chris Akins. 3-point game now. Cowboys ahead. 4:37 remaining in the third. Taken at the 5 by Wiley. And Wiley up to the 31. All right, now there's a question about the touchdown as a couple of flags come out at the end of this play. The end of the run back. Mini spirited altercation featuring Darren Hamrick and one of the Redskins. Another look here.
Wiley looks like he had a hole there. He gets popped pretty good there. Hard to see where there's any penalty. Joe Avizano, the special teams coach.
Unnecessary roughness. 87 at the end of the play. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Well, that's why Hambrick was so exorcised, as James Thrash must have whacked him.
Yeah, it must have been one of those knuckle sandwiches. There's an elbow by to Sellers' throat right there.
That looked like the Rock's move.
I guess the thrash play was away from there.
Hey, look hard enough, there's always something wrong.
Yes, there is. Meanwhile, first down for the Cowboys at their own 46-yard line. 4:28 left in the third. Emmett gains one. You know, guys, we saw something. We saw the touchdown. If they had challenged, and let's say you win the challenge, what are you really gaining? It's second down and an inch with Stephen Davis. It was one of those weird deals where they might have challenged, but because of the circumstances, it wasn't a turnover, wasn't a critical play. They decided not to.
Yeah, it was a concession to just let the Redskins have that touchdown. But on that drive, Stephen Davis, 5 straight carries for the 23 yards and the touchdown.
It was like a scruples question whether to challenge or not. Wait. Randall! Oh!
There he is. Eel-like takes it to the 46-yard line of the Washington Redskins.
And even Randall has to smile a little bit about that bit of magic. Watch the full-out blitz by the Redskins coming right up the middle. Barber swipes at him.
Wow.
Then Smith. And then Carrier. These are good tacklers. These aren't guys that don't know how to tackle. 37 years old. What a marvel.
The guys in Second City wish they could improv like that.
What a play.
Third and a deuce from the 46-yard line. End around the Rocket, and the Rocket takes off for a first down to the 36 and then loses the football. And Champ Bailey winds up with it. And are they going to say it was down or not?
Well, of course, Rocket's praying for that. Maybe the Cowboys will want to take a look at this. They cannot afford to have a turnover here.
I saw one ref pointing the Skins' way.
It is Washington's ball at the 35-yard line.
It's the end around. Larry Allen gets out in front again, and he crushes the defensive back right there. Ishmael trips a little bit right there. Ball was clearly out. That's a good call as Carrier came over the top, and Champ Bailey gets the recovery. Another good call by the officials tonight. I think when he was tripping there, the ball came out, popped out of there by Mark Carrier with the left hand. Beautiful replay.
Well, it is possible that the Cowboys are going to challenge the call.
The ruling on the field that it was a fumble.
Remember, you get 2 challenges per game. You can challenge up until 2 minutes remain in either half. If you lose the challenge, which they probably will here, they will be charged with a timeout.
Both knees were off the ground and the ball was loose.
Yeah, there's not enough visual data there, obviously, to overturn the call. It has to be clear. It's the other way. It was a fumble.
Dennis, you talked about how Dave Campbell had everything going for them. Back-to-back possessions now. First the interception and now this fumble.
You know, this is it's the kind of thing where you look upstairs and the guys upstairs, you're talking about the assistant coaches, there's some pressure on them, and normally 1 or 2 coaches are designated as the guys to say challenge or not challenge, and this is a bad challenge because it's very clear that this is not going to be overturned.
Tight game, you're going to need that timeout.
No question. That's a good point, Dennis, because timeouts are just so valuable. You never know when you just got to have one more timeout to get in position to kick a field goal, to extend your lead, or to tie the ball game. This one clearly will cost Dallas the timeout.
Hey, ask Jeff Fisher and the Tennessee Titans about needing that field goal from last year's, or needing the timeout from last year's Super Bowl.
When somebody calls down and says challenge this, you're looking with your heart and not your eyes if you're a Cowboy coach.
Hey, listen, there's been some weird decisions coming out of that little peep show over there.
Well, that's true.
Maybe they talk about it being worth trying for a pass interference call, just thrown up. Might be worth it to go over there just to roll the dice.
We have about 300 cameras, and we've shown about 100 pictures, and nothing has changed.
The ruling on the field stands. Fumble. Washington's ball. First down. Dallas is charged with a timeout.
Well, file that one away, boys. See if that hurts later in the game.
And the two big turnovers. Remember, the Cowboys had a 10-point lead. There was the interception deep in their own territory. Now the fumble. Now the Redskins have it at the 35. Rocket said I was down.
He's begging. He's begging for a call.
Well, a very vivid depiction of the leveling nature of turnovers in this league. Cowboys were just where they want to be. It's all turned.
This is Davis on first down, and Davis rumbles for a gain of 8 up to the 43-yard line. He's tackled by George Teague.
We ought to get that stat back about Davis's average per carry in the first quarter, because right now he's running at about a 5-yard clip here in the second half. 6 straight carries for Stephen Davis. This is how Norv Turner wanted to start the game. It's just taking him a little bit while to get that offensive line cranked up and use their size.
2nd and 2, and here's Davis for a first down. The graphic we showed you before illustrated how Davis is normally far more proficient early than late, but tonight he's really coming on. Going back to last year, Stephen Davis, the 6.1 average in the first quarter, and tonight, of course, running hard, a total of 18 carries for 64 yards, and he has scored both Washington touchdowns. 1st and 10 from the 47-yard line. Great leveling block. Going deep. Connell, does he make the catch? No, it was extracted by Ryan McNeil.
Connell's had a couple chances to be great tonight, just has not held on.
A lot of great effort on that one play. Did you see Stephen Davis's block? The first thing he did was, here's Connell now. Watch McNeil. They both go up for this ball. They see it's kind of a duck. They time it perfectly. Both have their hands on it, and McNeil rips it away at the last second.
We got that Davis block. It was beautiful. Not only did he take him down, but he began grinding on him after he had him down.
Oh, well, that's just a beautiful picture, isn't it?
2nd and 10. Johnson 4 for his last 13. Flushed out. That's caught, but for a minimal gain. Adrian Morrell underneath at the 49. They're still 8 yards shy of the first. Tackled by Coakley with 1.5 minutes to play in the third.
And it just seems like the Cowboys know exactly what the Redskins want to do once they stop them on first down. If they can get them into a long passing situation, they just load up in the secondary, play real soft, allow Johnson to complete the ball underneath, and then come up and make the tackle.
That's what we talked about last year. You see the diminishing returns as the game progresses, but not tonight for Stephen. 3rd down and 8. Side. Morrell makes the catch. Morrell seeks the first down, falls 3 yards shy.
Well, Johnson had no choice but to dump it.
You know what that shows you is the speed of the Cowboys. Hawthorne coming on the blitz forced Johnson to give it up a little bit early, and then the reaction time of the Cowboys after Morrell made the catch was great because they kept him. He had 3 guys out in front of him.
Well, Campo's got to love that sequence. Stabilization. Back in the game.
Yeah, they didn't give up points after the turnover.
Barnhart trying to pooch punt it. Fair catch. Tucker makes it at the 14-yard line.
Very fine line between a pooch and a dog kick.
You bet. That was not a bow wow. 23 seconds left in the third.
Johnson, that's not getting it done. You got to...
Moving into their end game strategy.
1st and 10 from the 14-yard line. Cowboys up by 3. Emmitt Smith trying to get out of the backfield.
There you go.
And
there you go.
With an exclamation point for a first down.
Thank you, Emmitt, for getting me out of a big statistical bind.
Well, he's got 18 carries. It's the same amount that Stephen Davis has, but he certainly made a lot out of nothing on that play as he got the corner.
Well, you know, I was teasing about the end game. In the last 2 seasons, the Cowboys in the 4th quarter have dominated the Redskins. Dallas has outscored Washington 51-0 in the 4th quarters and overtimes of the last 4 games. So maybe this is the beginning of the big push.
All they have to do now is play them even because they have the lead after 3. Dallas 17, Washington 14. And Monday Night Football returns after this message from our ABC stations. 4 quarter in D.C. Dallas up by 3. The quarter begins on a 1st and 10 with Emmitt Smith taking it up to the 37-yard line. Wow.
Obviously, they're going in a different direction with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders this season. I wonder if Dan Snyder charged her for 2 ducats.
Oh, man.
Wow. But paging Dr. Freud.
It's the road troop. 2nd down and 7.
Yes, it is.
From the 36. Cunningham.
Look at this guy. And he slings it. Sammy Baugh.
Boy, LeVar Arrington just introduced himself to the 37-year-old Randall Cunningham. That's not fair. Arrington, 22 years old, 6'3", 250. Watch this shot. That's the explosion that Arrington gives you and reminds you so much of Lawrence Taylor. How about the Houdini move here to get away from Wilkinson? He's going to regret it, though, real soon. Throwing the ball away and taking a lick.
Well, he just missed it. I mean, Arrington could have clocked him worse than that. Spin move like Earl of Pearl in the lane there from 37-year-old. He got pounded, but not as hard as he could have.
3rd and 8 from the backside. Here comes Smith, and then it's knocked away. A flag is thrown. Marco Coleman deflected it. Smith was coming from the backside. Coleman deflects it from the front end.
Well, you know, we were talking to Norb about his defensive line. I asked him if Bruce Smith was the hardest worker. He actually said Marco Coleman's one of the hardest workers he's ever coached in his career.
Holding 79 offense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play, 4th down.
Eric Williams.
And when you got 2 bookend defensive ends like that, that will help motivate, by example, both Stubblefield and Wilkinson.
Dion, like Reggie Jackson against the Dodgers. It's your time.
Mike Ganor to punt.
He loves it.
Here's prime time and a little past prime time. 11:28 Eastern. Fumbles it at the 22-yard line, but Washington maintains possession. That's what happened when prime time goes into fringe time.
The inevitable erosion of the synaptic powers by age.
Now, another example of why the Cowboys weren't that anxious to sign Dion. A lot of people think that he has passed his prime. Ball hit him right in the face mask. But he does hustle after that loose ball and recover to give the Redskins the ball. Man.
1 remaining in regulation, a 3-point lead for the Dallas Cowboys. And Washington has the ball now at its own 22-yard line, 1st and 10. Brad Johnson tonight, 16 of 29 for 119 yards, and he begins this drive on the ground. Stephen Davis picking up 5. Take a look at the numbers now through the first 3 periods of play. And they will come up.
I do not see them, my lord and master.
They ain't there.
Huh? What? Somebody stole the bar graph.
That's right. Somebody took him right to the bar. 2nd down and 5 from the 27-yard line. Here is Stephen Davis, and Davis through the middle again for a 1st down up to the 35-yard line.
Well, both teams shooting their big guns. Emmett on the Dallas side. Stephen Davis is seeing it every play.
Monday Night Football brought to you by Nissan. Driven. McDonald's, we love to see you smile. MSN, enjoy the everyday web. And Coors Light, proud partner of the John Wayne Cancer Institute in their search for a cure.
Well, you know, Nissan loves their credit going over the Lincoln Memorial.
1st and 10, and this is incomplete. Crowd looks for a flag, waits for a flag, doesn't get one. Dexter Coakley draping himself all over Steven Alexander.
Couldn't have been closer on the coverage of Alexander. The ball thrown perfectly by Johnson, but Coakley with perfect coverage. Fans looking at the replay board. They don't like the call, but there was no call.
Well, Campo really has his team ready tonight.
Oh, he could have got that one called, that right hand underneath the jersey.
Second and 10. Back to the main dude, Stephen Davis, shaving off the backside, stopped by Ryan McNeil.
Cowboys led the NFL in penalties last year. They've only got 3 for 15 tonight. So Davey had him in fine playing for a flag, or a shuttlecock comes in from nowhere. Must be some talking going on.
Stephen Davis and Darren Woodson got into a little preliminary bout.
As soon as I bring up the penalty thing.
I think this one's going to be against the Redskins, though. I think Woodson may have baited Stephen Davis into a call here. I didn't see any pushing or shoving. Could have been some Miller language out there.
Hey. I've been nothing but upright in this.
Personal foul. It's against Washington. So the head linesman made the call. Bill Carollo.
All right. Unnecessary roughness. Number 64. After the play was over, we're going to count the down and force 15-yard penalty. Third down.
That's on Andy Heck, and he's on the sidelines. Wasn't even in the game. 64 is an offensive lineman. That's what Heck didn't like. Hambrick laying on Stephen Davis. So he's going to take a shot at Hambrick when he gets up. There's Andy Heck.
Well,
cost his team 15 yards coming off the sidelines.
Not a smart play, but in his defense, he has triplets. Maybe he's not getting enough sleep. A little cranky.
Information you will only hear from here.
Well, you know, I research all the lineage.
3rd and 21. Johnson throws to Morrell, and Morrell is met by Bowden and tackled by a quartet of Cowboys. So that penalty took him out of range. They had to go deep downfield. Couldn't do that. Now they're forced to punt.
Yeah, Andy Heck lost his composure on the sidelines. There's no excuse for doing what he did. Regardless of what is happening to your star running back, you can't do what he did. 3-man rush here for the Cowboys, dropping 8. Johnson's got nobody else to go to but Morrell on the dump off.
Well, Morrell's a finesse runner, too. He's not going to bulldoze anybody. You want to get a first down with him, you better make sure he's past the marker.
Tommy Barnhart kicking Jason Tucker's way. And Tucker, at the last moment, calling for the fair catch. Remember, he's filling in for the injured Wayne McGarity, who was shaken up early. Fair caught at the 21, 11:38 left in regulation. Good game. Dallas by 3.
Way by spending time with kids in his community.
Right.
He takes volunteering seriously.
So far, this has been unacceptable. All right, we're going to go I right jet, scat right, 068 F hook swing. All right, so everybody got that? All right, I'll tell you what we're going to do then. Everybody's going to go along, all right? Except you, Julio, you're blocking.
Very seriously.
Come on, let's quit goofing off. We haven't got to play right all day.
Tonight.
Norv Turner, 7th year, 3rd longest tenure right now with the same team in the league. Only Dennis Green at Minnesota, Bill Cowher at Pittsburgh have been with their team longer. Didn't make the playoffs for the first 5. Always under pressure, as with the coach of the Redskins would always be under pressure. But for Turner, down his life's road, this is next to nothing. From the 21-yard line, here is Emmitt Smith. Norv Turner, and Dan knows him very well, grew up in a single-parent home raised by his mother, who raised all of the kids, and she had MS. So when you get down roads that are pressure-filled and they lived on welfare, Norv's been there.
Yeah, Alan. He was my backup quarterback at the University of Oregon, and always felt that he had a great mind for the game. Always wanted to know why I did what I did, why I threw that interception.
2nd and 7, and that's a gain of 2 up to the 26 with Emmitt Smith.
Probably the most forthcoming head coach we've talked to, too. Maybe it was because you're his great friend and you were in the room, Dano, but he really told us a lot of stuff that a lot of the coaches are close to the vest. He had a lot of great insights for us, really opened up.
Well, Dennis, he knows that he can trust you.
Well, as far as he can throw you.
I think I own a little Norvo on the NASDAQ.
Look at this. Emmitt Smith and Stephen Davis, remarkably similar nights. In fact, the stats are all the same except for touchdowns. And Randall's going to launch one for a wide open Ismael
some credit. That's actually a tough catch when you're out there all alone, and the complete expectation is that you catch it.
He had a lot more room to the outside, too. Thought he was going to go out of bounds here. Talk about a rocket. Well, this is a rocket launcher in Randall Cunningham. Had about another foot, but he made the big play. He made the smart play. He made the catch, and he gave his team a big first down. Randall can see that field. If you give him too much time to throw with that big arm of his, he'll find the rocket.
And now Randall has to take a timeout. So the Cowboys have to regroup with 9:56 left in regulation. And Dallas up by 3. They're down to just 1 timeout. Remember the challenge earlier. Norv Turner hoping his defense can stiffen, because right now the Cowboys are up by 3. They have the ball first down to the 31-yard line with 9:56 left in regulation. Fake to Smith. Randall on the move, throws. That's caught at the 18-yard line by the Rocket, and a first down. Well, we talked about Norv. We talked about his upbringing, and here's what he said was the effect his mother had on him.
When you're a single mom, my mother had multiple sclerosis, raised 5 kids by herself, really on state welfare, and she just did a remarkable job. And the one thing I think she taught all of our children, my brothers and sisters, you know, when you really think things may be tough, it's not that bad.
And this is Cunningham now throwing, and it is caught by Jackie Harris, the tight end. Touchdown.
2 KG Vets hooking up on a beautiful play. God, Campo's got to be feeling like Denny Green did when Randall came in for Brad Johnson that year. As much as you hate to see Aikman go down, Randall brings a lot of tools Troy, quite frankly, does not have anymore.
Well, what he has, it's been the big play. He's been able to buy time. This was just a well-designed throwback to the tight end. But Randall, with that 44-yarder to Ishmael, set this up. With the 76-yarder to Warren earlier in the game, that's 120 yards on just 2 passes.
Now Cedar for the extra point. 9:19 left in regulation. Cunningham continuing in the role of Lazarus as the Dallas Cowboys are up 24-14. 3 straight completions, 44, 15, and then this one for 16. And the Cowboys in control. So the Dallas Cowboys, with 9:19 left in the 4th, lead the Washington Redskins 24-14 as they seek their first win of the year. Remember, a Redskin loss, they'd be 1-2 and already trailing the unbeaten Giants by 2 and going to Giant Stadium Sunday. Mike Ganor sends it down to the 11-yard line. This is James Thrash. And he brings it back out to the 31-yard line. So the Rockets set up the touchdown with 2 catches. Then they worked on him on the sideline as Jackie Harris pulled in a pass from Cunningham.
You want to come to L.A.? No. Pass to Jackie Harris. Rocket Ishmael made a nice catch along the sidelines. Cunningham getting outside and throwing a beautiful pass. Both feet in. Good catch. But this is what Ishmael was doing while Harris was getting himself in the end zone. Looks like he might have a high hamstring on that left leg.
You know, when I was a young man, you didn't see the on-field prostate test.
This is what he didn't see, the tight end throwback screen, and Harris was in front of the screen. That's how much they fooled the Redskins.
Stephen Davis. Dexter Coakley exhibiting his pleasure.
They're feeling it.
Well, they're out-quicking the Redskins offensive line right now. We saw how the Redskins used just brute force in the third quarter, but now the Cowboys, with a 10-point lead, are starting to feel pretty good about their chances.
This is, in a way, the first coming of age for Dave Campo, a lifetime assistant coach. The last time Campo was a high school coach, he coached 9th graders at New London High School in Connecticut. As Johnson moves out of the pocket, throws underneath. That's caught by Morrell. He seeks the first down and appears to have it at the 41-yard line.
And as you were talking about Morrell and how shifty he is, now he's not going to run over anybody. He made a couple of moves there, and that's just about good enough to get the first down.
They'll measure. Here's Melissa.
An update on Redskins fullback Larry Centers, who was injured in the second quarter. His left elbow popped out. He's icing it now in the locker room, but he will not return.
So Larry Centers gone, has been gone since about halftime. And the Redskins trying to mount their comeback without one of their key parts. Now look at this measurement. And they are that much shy of the first down. So you have 4th and that much. 8:04 left in regulation, down by 10.
No choice but to go for it.
What's Snyder doing in the next booth? Can anybody see him? Yeah, he looks pretty calm. He's having me thrown out.
So 4th and inches. Remember, the Redskins are very proficient in these situations because they normally give the ball to number 48. And they'll line up in their jumbo with Andy Heck as the eligible receiver on the left side. Jerry Jones, meanwhile.
You got a vibe here, Dano? You know Norval.
He's going to give it to 48.
He does, and he gets the first down. Up to the 47. 48 to the 47 behind a Trey Johnson block.
The last time the Redskins had a 4th down in inches, they scored a touchdown giving it to 48. That was way back in the first quarter, though.
Right. When Washington took the lead, it's been their only lead of the night at 7-0. Mike Zimmer, the new defensive coordinator. Remember, Dave Campo had been the defensive coordinator, so Zimmer came in as the DC when Campo ascended to the 47-yard line. On first down, that is incomplete. Throwing into traffic. Woodson covering on the play. Irving Fryer, the intended receiver.
A big part of this pass offense are slants and post patterns, inside breaking routes. Darren Woodson that time took away the route to Irving Fryer on the inside with perfect coverage.
It almost seems like Turner, an exquisitely inventive offensive mind, when he gets in those short yardage situations, almost goes Lombardi. Here's what we're doing. You know what we're doing. Try and stop us.
Had a lot of success with it.
2nd and 10 from the 47. From the gun. Flag is thrown. Davis.
No! Why do you want to hand that? Why do you want to hand that?
But the Cowboys trying to get a jump on the snap count.
Ekubon and Spellman put the pressure on. One of them may be offside.
Offside, defense, right defensive end, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Looked like Ekubon was lined up offsides and Spellman jumped offsides. But Brad Johnson takes the shot from both of them.
And now they got a little
lot of
contact happening because what you had is Spellman trying to get into the Washington huddle.
His own teammates are telling the coaching staff to get him out of the game.
2nd down and 5 at the 48-yard line.
Campo's thinking, well, I got a fired up defensive lineman. I'm not taking him out.
Underneath. Davis dragged down 40-yard line. Tackle made by Bowden. 7 minutes left in the 4th.
The fans boo that play earlier in the game, but they kind of like it when Davis can pick up the first down. That shows you how critical the offsides penalty was on the play before.
Well, obviously, with 7 minutes left in the game, the Skins have to put at least a field goal up here.
First and 10 at the 39-yard line. Johnson out of the gun. There's Davis again, wide open over the middle. So Davis not only filling the running back role, he's filling the Larry Centers role along the way with Centers out to the 22 for a first down.
And not a bad night for him. 4 catches so far. He's rushed 23 times. But Johnson very patiently. The clock now is going to be the enemy for the Redskins because they need 10 points. They've got to hurry up this offense just a little bit more.
At the 22, first down. One hands the snap. Caught, tight end Alexander. It'll be first and goal as he's ridden out of the 7 by Izell Reese.
And the clock stops.
Well, I tell you what, that was a great catch by Alexander because Johnson let the ball get loose out of his hand very quickly. Alexander hadn't even turned around when Johnson let it go, put it right on the numbers, and a big first down.
Clock stops momentarily because remember there's more than 5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, so it stops when he goes out of bounds, but they wind it again when it's ready for play. So it's ticking down right now, 5:39, 5:38, and now a timeout is called by Washington.
Play clock was running down. Johnson didn't have enough time to get up to the line of scrimmage to get the play off.
Hey, when that rule change come in? Like 5 years ago?
Not 5.5 years
I didn't know I was going to work in a booth then. I wasn't paying attention, for God's sake.
You were still on Saturday Night Live,
weren't you? Junior men, boys. We got a big ender coming up here.
Redskins take their first timeout.
Now tell me that rule again. What happens over 5 minutes?
On a play like that where a guy goes out of bounds, they will stop the clock when he goes out of bounds. But when the ball is signaled ready for play, when it's put back into play, the clock starts again when you're outside 5 minutes to go in the fourth, and when you're outside 2 minutes in the first half.
Now, how much is a safety worth?
I don't even know at this point. What do you want from me? The Redskins schedule. Carolina, they've already won at Detroit last week. Here we go on first and goal from the 7-yard line. Johnson back to throw. Caught. Touchdown, Mike Sellers.
The game is afoot, Watson.
Yeah, we saw Norm Turner calling a lot of run plays the last time they got the ball inside the 10-yard line.
Holding. Defense. 47. That penalty is declined. Result of the play, touchdown.
You just get the feeling Norv had him guessing the whole time, right, Dan?
Well, he did because he came with a play action pass and slipped the ball to a guy, Mike Sellers, who just caught his first pass of the year.
And now Houston on a surfboard in San Diego a week ago today. Bangs that one through. And he missed. He'd have been back on the surfboard. 24-21. The Cowboys up by 3. 9 plays, 69 yards, and 3:45 for the Washington Redskins. And with Centers gone, Davis carries the load, and Sellers takes it in. 24-21.
The most famous fight song in the NFL.
.534 remaining in the fourth quarter.
You know, Al, you talked about Houston on the surfboard and everything, and coming out here, he kicked before the game, and Conway was out testing his leg. But Houston has had 2 extra points that have not exactly been right down the middle.
Betcha.
And now they're going to have to rely on him, maybe, to kick a field goal to tie the game.
Brett Conway with a quad pull. He is their regular kicker.
Well, you hate to let anybody get a foot in the door, but especially a substitute kicker. Conway looks pensive.
Huston's kick. Fielded at the 9-yard line by Michael Wiley. And Wiley brings it back up to the 29-yard line.
This is where the leadership of Randall Cunningham is going to be very important. He told me earlier this week that he's always been a guy that leads more by example than by his words, but because Troy Aikman is such a vocal leader on this ball club, he felt that he must emulate Troy when he gets in that huddle. But tonight, he's doing it both ways, by word of mouth and by his great play.
Cowboys averaging a scintillating 5.4 yards per rush, and this is exactly when they need the running game, because if they can pick up one timeout, they can begin to force the Redskins to think about using their timeouts on defense.
Dave Campo's kingdom for an 8-play drive.
From the 28, they began with Emmitt Smith up to the 29-yard line. Tackled by Mark Carrier, gain of 1.
And because the Cowboys are in their running offensive set, they've got 2 backs and 2 tight ends. The Redskins counter by taking Champ Bailey out of the game and putting in free safety Matt Stevens, trying to get a little more heft in there. But watch for the play action pass or the rollout by Cunningham to try to pick up a first down.
Yeah, you got to get
Second down and 9 from the 29-yard line. Randall throws behind the intended receiver. That is James McKnight.
Boy, McKnight was open in front of Deion Sanders, too. Might not have picked up the first down, but Cunningham threw his poorest pass of the night on that play. Watch McKnight working against Sanders. Good sharp hook pattern right across the middle. He slides to the open spot, ball thrown low into the outside.
Now the Rocket is still out. We saw them working on his hamstring. He is still out of the game. Chris Brazel and Jason Tucker are in with McKnight. And of course Galloway is gone for the season. So it's third down and 9 from the 29-yard line. Here comes the blitz. Randall throws. Huge conversion if he can get it, but I don't think he can. It's Chris Warren, and he's out of bounds shy of the first down. Sean Barber made the tackle.
Yeah, it's so great when it comes down to man against man. Cunningham with the nice throw out to Warren, and Sean Barber laying out, pushing him out of bounds short of the first down marker.
Dennis, here's the example of where the clock does not restart as the ball is signaled ready for play. Under 5 minutes to go in regulation. It's frozen at 4:40. Deion is back to receive the kick from Mike Ganor.
You got to worry about catching the ball.
Close to a block. Prime time, fair catch. 23-yard line. Surrounded by a trio of Cowboys, nowhere to roam. 4:33 remaining in regulation. Bruce Smith signing with the Redskins, in effect coming home because his home is in Virginia. And he talks about the added pressure on this team, the best team money can buy.
There is added pressure, but it's something that we can achieve. I think that he's done everything he can possibly do. The rest is left up to us, and it doesn't just fall on his shoulders. It falls on our shoulders as well, and I think it should be a lot of fun trying to live up to those expectations.
Well, they better start living up to him right here. The ball at the 24-yard line with 4.5 to go in the fourth. They're down by 3. And that's Davis, and somehow Davis keeps getting free over the middle as he did on that last drive. This picks up 6.
And 6 is good on first down. At some point, the Cowboys are going to have to come up and stop Davis. That will open up the routes, the intermediate routes in behind him. But right now, they're just content to rush 4 men, drop 7, and let Johnson and Davis have their way over the middle.
And Norton's going to keep picking that fruit till they take it away.
Davis on 2nd and 3, and he comes up a little short of the first down. Looking ahead, they have a 2-minute warning plus 2 timeouts. Leon Lett a little slow in getting up. Still down on his knees. Injury timeout here. So they'll work on Leon. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Aerial photography provided tonight by Southwest Airlines. Beautiful. Many as we had all last year. HBO's Dennis Miller joining us tonight. That's in the boilerplate. I had to get that in for you, right?
I didn't put that. You know, I'm very proud of HBO.
I understand. You know, I got to get all my obligations in, right, baby?
I appreciate you mentioning HBO because I'm proud of HBO.
What does HBO stand for?
Home Box
offense.
All right. I had to get it in, too.
Leon Lett.
Like he might have hurt his arm or his hand there, Al.
Brandon Noble will come in for him.
All right, you nailed it last time, Dano. Got a feeling here? Got a feeling?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes with a play-action pass here, but Stephen Davis has been awful good to him.
3rd and 1, tight formation. Sellers leads the blocking, and a great play is made by Baron Wortham, who jumps on his back behind the line of scrimmage. So Stephen Davis, a man you can normally count on in this situation, comes up short. 4th down here.
It's just an excellent anticipation by the Cowboys. Watch 57 Wortham, the middle linebacker, coming in here, and he's going to meet Davis in the backfield, and he gets a lot of help. Darren Woodson, the strong safety who leads this team in tackles. Never a good sign to have your strong safety be your leading tackler, but that was excellent with Teague, Wortham, and Woodson.
4th and 1.5. He eschew the punt. If they had punted, they could have used their timeouts defensively. On 4th and 1, the blitz is on. It's caught by Fryer. First down.
First down and out of bounds to stop the clock. Cowboys, for one of the rare times tonight, came with a full blitz on Brad Johnson. How cool was Johnson with that pressure to find Fryer on the outside?
Skins are 3 for 3 on 4th down tonight.
You got to admire the way Johnson has played tonight. He hasn't been able to throw the bomb. He's been frustrated, but he hasn't lost his head. He's hanging in there, delivering the ball when he has to.
Very patient.
1st and 10, 37-yard line. Dallas rushes 4. It is caught. It's Albert Connell. He gets wrestled down at the 44-yard line. Clock continues to roll. 2 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning for Washington.
You know, normally you'd be thinking about a kicker's range, but because Houston just was signed this week, not so sure what kind of range he has. A little delay route back to the outside by Connell picks up about 8.
2nd and 2. Johnson has completed 7 straight. Johnson throwing into the seam, and it's picked off. Intended for Alexander. Picked off by Izell Reese inside the Washington 40. A little hurdle action all the way to the 23-yard line.
A Deion Sanders-like return.
Johnson had completed 7 straight, trying to float one into the tight end Alexander, and overthrew him.
A little too heavy on the float.
Well, he tried this last week against Detroit and threw an interception right down the middle of the field. And this time trying to get his tight end, Alexander, who runs well, but he's not going to run enough to be able to catch up to a ball that's that poorly overthrown.
And in a town with high expectations, and Jeff George on the sideline, the plot thickens.
If the Redskins can hold the Cowboys without a first down, they will still get the ball back because they have 2 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning. In effect, they can stop the clock 3 times with 2:09. The ball at the 23-yard line, so the Cowboys cannot simply run out the clock by kneeling down. Emmett. And Washington, will they take a timeout on this side of the 2-minute warning? They don't.
It's a little out and up move by Alexander, and then down the field. He really never gets separation from the underneath man right here, and then the safety back here, Reese, is just going to be playing a little bit of a left center field there. Easy interception and a questionable throw by a guy that we just talked about how patient he was being.
2-minute warning. Big upset in the making.
Santana Dotson of the Green Bay Packers considers himself an average man. He is 6'5", 290 pounds. Average.
You really have to hand it to Dave Campo. You look at a guy under intense pressure tonight. You're the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You come in 0-2. You're a big dog coming into Washington. And here you are on the verge of, in effect, I don't want to say a season-saving victory, because I don't know what's going to happen to the Cowboys this year, but they're really headed for maybe 5-11, 6-10 if they lose tonight?
Well, I'll say season saving, and I think this is going to galvanize this team. But when we met Campo the other night, I remember thinking, if you need a guy at 0-2 to bring a team together, he was so cool, so measured, so together, and so in the moment, thinking, I've got to win this game. I'm not thinking about the ramifications of this down the road. I remember thinking, wow, Jerry Jones made the right pick here.
And you know, Eric Dickerson told us when he had talked to Campo before the game that Campo challenged his team during this week, and he said it's time to remember the pain of those 2 losses.
If you don't feel the pain, losing becomes too easy.
Before play resumes here, it is 2nd down and 10. The ball is at the 22-yard line. The Redskins can stop the clock twice. They give it to Smith to the 20. Here's Washington's 2nd timeout, so they have 1 remaining. Well, Dave Campo, the coach. Of course, a lot of people think Jerry Jones has always been the coach of the Cowboys. So I asked Jerry the annual question, would he ever coach the team?
No, I think that I'm going to always be able to have people more qualified and experienced to coach the Cowboys than me. But the day will never come when I'm not involved passionately in everything that goes on and what goes on that football field.
Well, his coach right now, Dave Campo, and you can see Jerry and his family, Stephen Jones, in the box up there. You look at Dave Campo. I mentioned before, the last time he was a head coach, it was coaching the 9th grade team at New London, Connecticut High School. He's a lifer. He's a guy who coached at Central Connecticut State, University of Albany, Bridgeport, Pittsburgh, Washington State, Boise State, Oregon State, Weber State, Iowa State, Syracuse, Miami, and then the Cowboys. You move your family around year after year after year. You finally get the golden break. Your back's up against the wall, and he's on the verge of coming through tonight. 3rd down and 8. And he can't seal it. He throws it out of the end zone. Now, you know, why are they going to throw the ball? Because in that situation, you just saved a timeout for Washington.
And this is an eternity, 1 minute and 50 seconds. And with an offense that is pretty proficient at moving the ball down the field in small chunks as the Redskins have been tonight, that's an incredible call by Jack Riley and the Cowboys. Remember, they had a timeout to think about that call, too.
Now they'll try to make it a 6-point lead. At least they'll force Washington to score a touchdown. This is a 39-yard attempt by Cedar, and that kick is good.
Nails.
So the free agent kicker out of Ashland University, Tim Cedar, gives Dallas a 6-point lead, 38 officially.
And remember, if we go back to the first quarter when the Redskins ran the reverse on the punt return, you wonder if they have another one. Well, the Cowboys know that they do, and they may be ready for it. You know, they're not going to be fooled twice in one night.
A reminder, next week we go to Indianapolis, where the Colts come off their bye week against Mark Brunell and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll see Jimmy Smith in action next Monday night. Peyton Manning makes his first ever appearance on Monday Night Football under the dome in Indiana. So Brad Johnson now needs a touchdown, not a field goal. Washington has 1 timeout, 1:46 on the clock. What they really need here is a great run back. Thrash and Morrell back to receive. Mike Ganor sends it skyward. 2-yard line. James Thrash. Flag is thrown.
Well, not a great one, but certainly serviceable. See what the penalty is.
Brings it to the 30-yard line.
This one's going to go back inside the 20, though.
Yep, against the Redskins.
Just took too long.
Holding 86 on the return team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Irving Fryer
I think they got the number wrong. I think it's 88.
Yeah.
James Jenkins.
No, when you're 2 weeks shy of your 38th birthday, you're not on the special teams.
Yeah.
James Jenkins is the guy he meant.
Down the stretch and up against the wall and everything else you want to say. This is not a fun time for a quarterback. We've seen the Cowboys just playing so deep in the secondary from the first quarter. And now you know that Teague and Woodson are going to be splitting the half of the field. Look how deep they are back here.
First down from the 14. A minute 38 left. Cowboys rush 4. That's caught. And that is James Thrash up to the 25-yard line. That'll move the chains, but the clock keeps ticking.
Dwayne Hawthorne with a big hit, but he didn't wrap him up. Thrash got extra yards.
From the 25. Johnson under pressure. That's tipped. That's incomplete. 1:11 remaining. Second down.
Not only would you want your DB wrapping him up at this point, you probably want him going for the ball for the strip.
Leon Lett knocked that one down.
Big Leon, 6'6". The big cat got the starting nod tonight as the Cowboys shifted their defensive line to add more beef. Great to have a veteran in the game right now, has that anticipation and knocking passes down.
Well, Campos said they have game-by-game captains, and he names them when he wants something out of a guy. I think Lett might have been the guy under the microscope tonight.
Second down and 10. Out of the gun, underneath, caught by Morrell. He gets a first down, but the ball is at the 37-yard line.
Well, who would you rather have than Norv Turner, though, calling this drive?
Now, the tough thing, though, is they got to get all the way in the end zone.
And they have one timeout again. Through dribs and drabs, this is Morrell. But they're still in their own territory at the 46-yard line, and now they have to spend that last timeout with 48 ticks left.
Well, and if you look at the Redskin huddle, you see a lot of guys with their hands on their hips. Very warm evening here in Landover. A lot of big guys, real tired right now.
So the Redskins on the verge of going to 1-2, the heavy favorite not only to win the NFC East, but in the minds of a lot of people to go all the way. And you talk about a critical early season game when the Redskins go to New York next Sunday against the 3-0 Giants.
Giants are hot, they're confident, and the Redskins have got to worry about, hey, how do we ever beat the Cowboys? We lose tonight, 6 straight losses to Dallas, their most bitter rival.
Do you think we could be close to a quarterback controversy in the nation's capital, Dan? Or
I don't think so at this point of the season. But if Brad Johnson continues to throw interceptions as he did to Izell Reese there earlier in the fourth quarter, you may see Jeff George.
Well, the Skins' longest play tonight, unbelievably, 17 yards.
Great game plan for the Cowboy defense,
right.
Mike Zimmer and Dave Campo.
It's been a small play offense. A little dump off to Morrell, and that's about the worst thing that can happen. You make the catch, the clock keeps running, you lose yardage.
And you've got receivers 30 yards, 40 yards down the field that have to hustle back.
That's the trifecta. You're better served just dropping it. Third down and 5. And now Johnson, pump faking, under pressure, sacked at the 40-yard line by Ebenezer Ecubon.
Well, what was the odder call? The pass to Morrell or the Cowboys pass into the end zone? Both questionable, huh?
Fourth down, they have to just pray at this point. There's nothing left to do except pray, and that prayer is not answered. And the Dallas Cowboys have come into the nation's capital and won a game they had to win.
They'll have time for one more play. Brad Johnson's going to have to throw it about 60 yards to get it down to the end zone.
Well, you might bring Jeff George in here for the designated Hail Mary. He's got the gun.
Vinny Testaverde called upon a defensive back, Marco Coleman, yesterday in the Jets win over the Bills in this situation. Almost. It was at the end of the first half. Big difference. Hail Mary at the end of the first half and a Hail Mary in this case.
Champ Bailey was looking to get into the game, but they say no. So here we go. One Hail Mary in all likelihood. A flag is thrown. 2, in fact. Johnson gets sacked. If it's against Washington, the game is over.
Well, the Hail Mary not answered. Separation of church and state. Start blow drying.
12 men on offense. That penalty is declined. That's the end of the game.
This one's done.
And the Dallas Cowboys, in many quarters given up for dead, losing Galloway on opening day. Aikman with a concussion. The new coach. A disaster on opening day against Philadelphia at home. A devastating loss last week. Come into Washington and win a game they had to win. 27-21. We'll wrap it in a minute.
QEA, the multinational conglomerate, today to buy full and in Kansas, Oklahoma. Close to
Ever get the feeling some people just stop trying? At Avis, we take a novel approach to service. We give it.
The critics have spoken.
Michaels is the best of all time on network TV at NFL Play-by-Play.
Dennis Miller brings a welcome dimension to the game.
Finally, the fan has a voice in the booth. The question, MNF is an event again.
Monday Night Football. It's powerful stuff.
Cowboys win it 27-21. Let's go to Eric Dickerson. ED.
Evan, I'm here with Emmitt Smith. I laid it over this win. Evan, how big was this win against a heavily favored Redskins team?
Oh, it was a big time win for us. We come in here underdogs, and everyone in the world done wrote us off. Dead Cowboys, et cetera, et cetera. And the only people that believed that we could pull this one off was the guys that's in that locker room, the guys that have been at training camp with us, our coaching staff, and that's been it. So, we came up here with a positive attitude. We felt like we made progress last week, and this week we kind of like, we stepped in there this week and grew up a little bit.
Thank you. Hey, back over to Melissa Stark. Thanks, Emmitt.
All right, Eric, Dave Campo's first win as a head coach. You just got doused by one of your players as celebration. You got in the guys' faces this week. Do you think their performance tonight was in response to that?
Well, I don't want to say that. The game of football is about emotion, and our guys played with emotion tonight. I just wanted them to know during the week how important this is, how hard it is, and to remember what it feels like to lose. And tonight, they just played outstanding.
Randall Cunningham played like he was 27 instead of 37. How impressed were you with him?
Well, he's a good player. I mean, that's why we signed him. We signed him because we felt that he could win for us if Troy was hurt, and he did that. And unfortunately, we didn't win last week, but we got it this week.
Congrats, Coach. A great win on the road.
Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate it.
Back to you, Al.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Well, guys, 3 good games in a row, and this one going right down to the wire in Washington.
The thing about it is when you have rivals, as the Cowboys and Redskins, there's no better rivalry in the NFL. Anything can happen. I think the Cowboys have got these guys numbered.
6 in a row. The Cowboys have knocked off the Redskins, and they do it tonight. Next week, we will be heading to Indianapolis, where the Colts will be hosting the Jaguars. Coming up next on the East Coast, stay tuned for your late local news. On the West Coast, you will see 2020 downtown. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. The keyword is Monday Night Football.
Best theme song since Hawaii 5-0.
Jack Lord notwithstanding. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports as we continue the tradition of excellence. On to Indy we go. On to Texas go the Cowboys tonight. A happy flight into the night. They'll meet the 49ers on Sunday. Washington heads to New York. Dallas 27, Washington 21. Good night from Landover, Maryland.
3, 4th and 2 for the Skins at the 37. Johnson. To the ageless wonder, Irving Fryer, first down. 2nd and 2. Skins on their own 45. Johnson for Steven Alexander. It's too high, and Izell Reese going the other way with it. And for all intents and purposes, although the Skins got it back after a Dallas field goal, Dan Snyder knew his club was in trouble, and they certainly were. As Dallas does it to Washington again, make it 6 in a row, 27-21 the final. Dave Campo gets a victory, his first as the Cowboy head coach. Cowboys avoid their first 0-3 start since 1989 when they were 1-15. Now, Brad Johnson, you saw Jeff George with that gun waiting in the wings. Johnson's numbers, okay, 29-46, 231 yards. Has two TD passes and 5 picks this season. Last year, he didn't throw his 5th interception until the 9th game of the season. But the winning quarterback in this game was Randall Cunningham, and he spoke to our Ed Werder.
Randall Cunningham leads the Cowboys to their first win of the Dave Campo era. Randall, you were able to get outside the pocket again and make an awful lot of plays. Was that part of the game plan?
Sometimes it is. You know, I just thank God because he allows me to play with the youth that I have, you know. And it's just amazing because, you know, when I was at Minnesota, I felt youthful, but I didn't feel as youthful as I do now, but I'm truly blessed.
One of the other important things that seemed to you accomplish, you're very stubborn, establishing Emmitt Smith with a running game, rest in the defense. Did that pay dividends?
Yes, it does. You know, if you're going to win, you got to have a running game and you got to have a good defense. Our defense did an excellent job. The offensive line is stepping up each week. And, you know, I'm just thankful to be playing with these guys because these guys really accept the leadership that we have.
The first touchdown pass, Chris Warren, nearly a botched play. You fumbled the handoff or the snap from center.
Yeah, we didn't practice it like that. But thank God Chris didn't see the fumble because he might have stopped. And it was a play that Jack put in. Jack put some great stuff in this week.
The misdirection screen pass that won the game to Jackie Harris. What was the intent of that play?
Well, just making sure Bruce Smith didn't get to me. You know, if I can get the ball to Jackie, he's an old tricky vet that can do his thing. And we've got so many plays in our offense that we just keep on doing different things.
Did you ever imagine that you could be successful enough in 3 games with the Cowboys that, as great as Troy Aikman has been with this franchise, people could legitimately question whether you should continue playing even after he's healthy?
Well, you know, the good thing is that God's will is going to be done. I try my best not to get any politics going. You know, I'm a servant. I'm a role player. I love playing for the Cowboys. We've been enjoying ourselves. I don't look back, and Troy's a great player, and as long as I'm on the team, you know, we're never going to have a controversy as far as we're concerned.
All right, thanks, Randall, very much. The Cowboys win twice on the road in their last 13 road games, both times right here. Back to you.
All right, Ed, thank you. Ron Jaworski joins us now to break down the Monday Nighter in Jaws. Ray Rhodes' defense got burned several times by some big plays.
Yeah, no question they did, and they didn't maintain their discipline, which is key when you play against a team that's going to change things up. And Randall just a moment ago alluded to Jack Riley, the great job he did of designing plays. And the one thing I noticed watching the game, the Cowboys use a lot of gadgets and misdirection. And if you look at what they did, they try to take advantage of LeVar Arrington, the rookie linebacker, with a little misdirection this way and the reverse coming back the other side. LeVar gets caught up inside. Ismail goes around the outside. A 20-yard gain. Take advantage of the rookie's inexperience with the misdirection. Nice job here. You'll see Warren come out of the backfield. Now what that will do, it'll open up the seam right here because it's an empty. And Randall runs right up the middle for a big gain and a first down. This is a real nice job of utilizing the talents on the football team. Clearly, when you look at a Rocket Ismail, yes, he's good in space. Give him the ball in space, let him make a play. And Randall Cunningham, what can you say? I know I said it on Monday Countdown. The Dallas Cowboys had a chance to win this game with Randall Cunningham at quarterback, Steve.
Yeah, Jaws, what about that? We know they don't have Troy Aikman. Randall may be old, but he can still move pretty well.
That's what it's all about. I heard the guys all night talking about the 37-year-old guy, and I remember playing with Randall when he was a young guy, and he can still move. And they designed plays for Randall to make plays, as you'll see him here in the pocket right now. This is what the beauty of Randall. He gets out of the pocket. In the past, he would have taken that play right there and ran for the first down. But now his maturity, he finds the rocket up the sideline. Just great awareness, great vision of mature Randall Cunningham. And this is the play right here. The misdirection again. Come back around. Great play call. Outstanding running by Jackie Harris. This was a well-designed game plan, a well-executed game plan. I am shocked by this Dallas win, but I'll tell you, give credit where credit is due. Dave Campo had his team ready to play down at FedEx Stadium.
All right, Jaws, thanks very much.
All right, guys, and thus far, certainly Washington was supposed to be the elite of the NFC, but they haven't been able to touch Tampa Bay, who's still unbeaten. And after the Bucs, Randall McDaniel caught a touchdown pass in Sunday's win over the Lions. Keyshawn Johnson was asked to evaluate his big offensive lineman's pass.